Oh, wow.
What's up? Why do we open everything with an oh wow?
Because
This feels strange, yes.
we have new mic socks.
Yeah. The most interesting thing to open with.
This is the first time we're using them.
They're so firm.
They are. They're kind of weird. I
How
hope
do
we don't sound extra different today.
How do they sound? Let's see.
I don't know.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Really?
Cool, it sounded amazing.
All right. Well, anyway.
We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a whole fucking foot further from my mic because this
Maybe
thing's
that
so
means-
firm on my mouth.
Maybe that means we're going to be even closer.
Maybe we'll be quieter.
Possibly.
Maybe we'll be fatter.
Why would we need to be quiet? Like, every time you open the fucking podcast and it's quiet, I'm just like, what, we're in a library now?
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess. We're having library-type, like, discussions.
That's what happens. I'm always, hello. It's a chill mood. And sometimes it's not a
That's
chill
true.
mood.
Yeah, sometimes well, I feel like we're going to be getting a mix of both in today's entry
Yeah,
of this podcast.
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, welcome to the Shedheads podcast. I'm your co-host, Skylar.
I'm James.
This is the Dark Souls of podcasts as we've colloquialized it. Is that the term?
Sure.
It's a fucking cool-ass word. I want to use it.
My cat has something. I don't know if he should. But that doesn't really matter.
I just had the thought,
Yeah.
like, just imagine, like, if our old high school English teachers found out that we were doing this shit. Like, imagine how happy they would be, like, and satisfied, you know?
Yeah.
We're taking actual, like, in-depth look and discussion about different, forms of media. It's not literature. But it's modern literature. I
can
guess.
say though that
it's weird.
Well, I did have some pretty cool English teachers. None of them inspired me to do this.
No. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
None of them. I did have a really cool English teacher that I had for like 2 years in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like more than most others. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just had that thought because they would be like they would feel so proud that that we have like critical thinkers from.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of kids, really.
Actually, I thought about that like a little bit ago. I was like thinking about one of my old cool English teachers and how now I would like totally want to talk to him about a bunch of movies and shit.
Modern literature, by the way, sounds like a band name.
Yeah.
What? It doesn't? All right, fine. Fuck it.
Oh, nothing. So yeah, we in sequence. So not in sequence. In Sync.
In Sync, yes.
That's a good band name too,
In
actually.
Sync.
Yeah. Well, it is one.
Fuck up.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say in Sync.
In Sync. In Sequence.
All right.
Let's get into our.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Our
I
first.
forgot what we were talking about.
No, you didn't. I have to believe we're starting with mine, right? We talked about yours first 2 weeks ago.
Here we go.
Isn't that?
No.
I had mine written down first, so I believe we're starting with that.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I believe it. I keep awful track of that sort of thing.
Yeah, but
it's been 2 weeks, so...
Yeah, this is stuff we should figure out before we're here with everyone. Yeah, okay, so we talked about Watership Down first, so which...
Yeah, that's a very English teachery type of thing to recommend as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that will be shown in schools, or at least it has, like, maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird stuff, man.
So...
But it's funny.
The Boys.
Oh, man, The Boys. The first season of The Boys.
Season 1. This is exciting.
The Amazon Prime... exclusive show, which I've never heard about, knew nothing going into it. Really quickly, before we like really dive into it, I want to know. I have a very important question.
Go for it.
Why did you recommend this to me?
Why did I recommend it?
Yeah,
because I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it?
Well, yeah. Mo showed it to me a few months ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you like it and you wanted to share it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got
just wondering.
I've got a lot of notes on it.
I have like quite extensive notes, but I'm not going to be sticking to them. More or less, those were meant to help keep my thoughts organized on different series.
Good.
And certain issues and strengths that I had to write down to keep in mind. But it is my first viewing, and a lot of it is simply just reactionary as well.
Right. Which is why I was like, hey, are you sure? Maybe don't take so many notes.
Well,
for context, you were like noting more than you were watching for the first episode or two.
Yeah, well, here's I'm gonna scroll past. There's like at least like 5, maybe 4 pages of my phone screen.
It's like more than when we did Lord of the Rings.
It's about the same.
Which is crazy because
it's about the same.
You took like no notes when we did Twin Peaks, so it's kind of funny.
I didn't think I needed to.
Yeah, I didn't know you needed to here, but
I only take notes whenever I need to help keep track of my thoughts on things.
Right.
Less scattered, and actually document feelings and such.
Right.
And I like to think I have a pretty like decent memory for when it comes to that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when
usually
it comes
better than mine.
Yeah, so when it comes to writing down notes, it's gonna be more than that, and normally that's a lot. And since I'm writing it down, there's no cap for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down as much as I saw necessary to reflect the quality of the seasons. How many seasons of this are there? 2?
The second one just came out like a month or 2 ago.
Oh, okay. So it's still going right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. And in season 3, well, I guess I should just tip it off with some facts about it. Because this show here is, at least it's developed by, I don't know, he must be a big part of it. The dude from Supernatural, Eric Kripke, who created Supernatural. And I didn't even know that till after I saw the first episode. And, I got a lot of love for Supernatural, but the first thing I thought is that this is a lot more ambitious and a lot more, what's the word? It deals with a lot more mature topics than Supernatural does.
Yes.
But,
well, okay, so yeah, you told me, and you were hesitant to because you thought it was going to change how I perceived it or something, and it doesn't. But it kind of helps give some insight.
No, yeah, that's why I told you.
Because I love Supernatural. From what you've seen,
yeah.
I haven't even seen a full season
mm-hmm.
of it, just a few episodes. But from what I've seen, I love it.
Well, we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm. But, and I think I know why I love Supernatural and how I feel about the boys and how that contrasts.
Right. Yeah. But we'll get into that in a second. I wanted to give this general stuff. But yeah, I was hesitant to tell you that, and then I guess small spoilers. I could tell how you were reacting to the show. So I wanted to I thought maybe that knowledge would help recontextualize it a little, which we'll get into, of course, later.
Yes.
But what I didn't know, until we saw Seth Rogen appear in the show, is that he and Evan Goldberg also work on the show, which makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. They collaborated on Superbad and a bunch of other shit like that. There's totally some stuff in here that I'm like, with Seth Rogen attached to this, that makes a lot of sense. And I want to mention that Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean in Supernatural, is supposed to be in season 3, so that's pretty hype. I have a bunch of other little notes on it, but we can start getting into actual thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
Because most of mine are kind of that background stuff, general stuff that I think is cool. Yeah. Go for it.
I think like that other background stuff is interesting. Where did I leave off at? Oh, with Supernatural. Yeah, because the thing is, Supernatural mostly doesn't take itself too seriously from what I've watched.
Nope.
Like it's fully aware of its campiness and it uses it to its advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The Boys is the opposite.
Right, and I disagree, but we'll get there.
Well, okay, in areas I see that like it knows that it is, but in terms of the story and narrative that it's trying to present to us,
mm-hmm.
in tone as well, it's already taking itself more seriously than Supernatural. It's not like the most serious thing, you know. It's not like 13 Reasons Why Life is Strange type of like, oh, take us seriously, you know.
No.
And the parts where it does,
I think if it was, it would fail miserably.
There were a few times where I actually did think it was funny,
Mhm.
but not in the scenes that you probably think, or maybe the scenes that you think, if you know my taste.
Maybe.
There were lots of points of the humor where it fell like tremendously flat.
Yeah. For you, yeah. That's important. Humor is obviously like one of the most subjective things on earth.
Yes, I mean you can like
I know
you can deconstruct like comedy. And
Yeah,
things like that.
I know there's things that you don't like in humor that this show uses a lot. Like shock value.
Yes.
Like kind of just more edgy jokes.
Well, for me, the shock value thing is similar to how people view jump scares, where like jump scares are pretty universally, what's the word, despised, I guess, for to go into this really quickly, because it is cheap. And because like it innates just a base reaction of human nature. There could be jump scares where they're done fairly well, and that depends on build up and things like that.
Yeah, and it depends.
Other factors.
It depends if it, I think, contributes in any way to the story.
And to me, shock value is kind of like the jump scares of humor.
And I don't have that same stance as you, clearly, because I grew up on Kenny versus Spenny. And
okay, I love Kenny versus Spenny.
Yeah, like
it's in line with their characters, and like they don't do it to like. I mean, Kenny does try to get a laugh out of it, but it doesn't feel cheap.
To be fair enough,
it doesn't feel like it's demeaning the viewer at all. Because like you agree to watch this filth, and that's what it is.
To be fair, with Supernatural, they like. When me and you just watched an episode or two of Supernatural, I think just one, and like I was reminded how much like they kind of there is a sense of humor that's pretty similar between these two. I don't know.
Areas?
Would you pick up on that? Yeah,
in areas I would agree. But Supernatural is more about keeping that kind of tone like throughout.
Yeah,
even the parts where it's more serious, it's so like outlandish and like Doctor Who-y type of villains, They love to do that. They love to strike this balance. And to me, this is like Supernatural's fully aware how campy it is, and it loves to like run with that as the concept. And that is like also Supernatural versus something like Grey's Anatomy, where it is super campy, but is trying to take itself super seriously.
So yeah,
but that's a whole nother topic for maybe another day. Probably not.
Well, yeah, but since we're on this, because like obviously I picked up on like something would happen on screen, I'd see you take a note, and then I want to be like, no.
What do you mean?
Like
to like keep watching
as we were going, because like I could tell what was tipping you off with your notes, and I wanted to see if like this. That's why I ended up telling you that's Eric Kripke.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, it knows it's.
Well, that's the thing that's tough about also when we like view a rec together is lots of things are just straight up reactionary.
Yep.
We don't usually watch my recs together. It's always I watch your recs.
We did one of yours. We did The Wall.
Oh yeah, we did The Wall, but I also Mo's in between us.
Yeah.
And like, but every time you take a note, I'd be like, no, watch, don't miss this cool thing.
Well, but it also helped. It also helped because like I prepared a little more to have an argument against what you're saying. Because I know like what you're going for.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, here's
so
the thing.
I know it bothered you, so I was able to come up with counter arguments. Not like I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, because like it's obviously like subjective, but just my perspective on the same things.
Mostly. Well, I'm not really planning. I mean, usually, I had like a day to like really sit with everything. So I'm not really planning to make any objective claims or narratives. So
assertions, yeah. Let me ask.
There could be some things that I'm going to say on the little more objective side, and maybe this could be a whole podcast topic to talk about this whole thing because we kind of have a misalignment in terms of subjective versus objectiveness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only had a day, and to reveal the first card of my hand, generally I'm mixed on this.
Right.
I'm mixed on the boys.
I was just gonna say, can I ask you? Because it seemed very clear that you didn't like this at the beginning, and towards the end, it seemed like you were chilling with it a bit more. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's like, I guess the whole thing.
Yeah.
If everybody wants to like skip to when we talk about my recommendation, you can, because this is the sentence right here. I think I really don't like the first half, and I really do like the second half of the season. I think it really picked itself up.
There, you summed it up.
Yeah,
and
that's my there's my feelings on it.
That's cool. So maybe would you be interested in season 2 or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm leaning on no, and I'll get into that.
Okay, because I haven't seen season 2. I was thinking, if you liked this, then there's our new show.
I'm honestly more interested in the graphic novel that you told me about, because apparently this is based on source material.
Yep, which I don't know anything about.
I'm wondering if that is fucked at all, because honestly, and also I've had time, like right before we were talking this morning when I was taking a shit, I thought, you know what? It's probably not even the show's fault that the first half is so bad.
It may or may not be, but I will say, like, I still do disagree, which, I enjoyed the whole thing for what it was. Well, and we'll get into that.
I think it had a lot of potential because the premise is honestly like really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And not one that you're really going to see like. I mean, there's always this like critique of superheroes, especially that happens in real life,
Mm-hmm.
And the MCU definitely like kind of helped the case against that, if you ask me.
Right.
And it's no secret I'm a pretty big comic book superhero boy.
Yep.
Not like super heavily into it.
Yeah.
And I can honestly like. I understand like a lot of the criticism they get, and I have plenty of criticism myself for a lot of these superheroes and the nature like that.
Yeah.
Like, can we just talk about how fucking... Oh, I wanted to say that word, but I can't because you're just going to have to bleep it, but how fucking stupid Captain America is as a concept.
Right.
And Superman. And they rolled him into one, which I love.
Yeah, that is why I think the characters in the show are all pretty great, especially when we're talking about the superheroes, because they're all just the archetypes.
Yes, but that's why I also don't like them.
You have... Okay, well, we'll get into that. But yeah, you have Captain America, fucking Superman, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, when I saw Homelander for the first time, I had a channel I thought where I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck are you showing me? Like, this is obviously like Justice League, and it's like, not original. But I know that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a critique. It's absolutely a critique. But also,
I hope if like Spider-Man was anywhere like remotely near this, I would have went off.
That'd be hilarious.
I would have wrote a 20-page essay on why this sucks.
One of my favorite things about
not why it sucks, just a critique, whatever.
One of my favorite things about it is that we've got the Spider-Man guy, and we've got like the Superman guy, and we've got
Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman.
Yep. Yep. And Aquaman is the butt of all the jokes, which is perfect.
It's fitting. He already is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's honestly the Aquaman thing is honestly kind of rehashing old ground for me, because I'm just like, yeah, he's terrible, and like,
he's useless.
And DC is trying so fucking hard to make Aquaman be cool, like with all the movies and games and shit, and it's just fucking awful. And then also, yeah, we have Batman, but like he's just in the background, not even really a character, honestly.
Right. But like, what works for me about this,
I'm glad it is a DC kind of like it rips into that, because DC is awful. I'm just gonna like hit it cold, make that claim. With all the superheroes are trash. There's no good characters. The only one that's fucking interesting is Batman, but it's been done to death. And people love to like say how often Spider-Man gets rebooted, but look at fucking Batman over here. Dude's got like 7 different canons. Are you like fucking joking?
Yeah,
At
and
least there's a universe of Spider-Man, like a reason for all his canons. But
like
I digress.
yeah. I don't think that it takes it too seriously, which it sounds like is going to be a big thing here. I think like it's very aware of what it is. Like the comparison that I just made for this is that it's kind of like the way Sacha Baron Cohen does Borat. Like he becomes the thing, and half the people don't even fucking get what he's doing. It's satire. He's going outlandish. He's going over the top. He's becoming the thing. Like
I know,
like,
I understand that
yeah.
it's satire, and
that's
like,
why it is a superhero
I knew,
media.
I knew this was going to be your big point with this, but just because it's satire doesn't will then give it the excuse to have lots of plot holes and lack on the writing.
I don't know what you're referring to with that.
Well, we'll get into it, I guess. But I think it overall has like a little bit of an identity crisis in terms of where at times it's trying to take itself super seriously.
I never get that
But the
vibe.
messages are so on the nose that it's just like it just falls flat and is uninteresting.
Yeah.
But other times it knows what it is, and then usually it has a little bit more fun, but sometimes it goes too far, and then you're just flopping back and forth. Makes me fucking dizzy.
Yeah, so my full note on that is that yes, its commentary is often ham-fisted, but I think it fits the genre, especially with superhero Marvel movie. It's always just in your face. It's about the action. It's on the nose.
Yes, but if this is a critique on that, then it should be better than those. It shouldn't be the same because, like, look what it's doing. If anything, it could use like a lot more subtlety and nuance to its advantage in that way.
I think that
then it would probably be one of my favorite things.
See, I think it has that in the same way that something like Borat or Bruno does, where it's that, but to the nth degree. Like they're taking it that far. They're like nothing is just straightforward with this. You have fucking translucent. Like he's not even fucking cool. He's gotta be naked, and then he just jerks off to have a superpower. Like he's just like everything is it like. Because I know it comes in with the shock value of it. Like they stick a bomb up his ass or whatever. I'm sure you don't like that. But
no, I actually found that hilarious.
Okay, because I think like they take it like too far because like it's a serious situation, but it's very, very much goofy.
Here's the thing. It's like it's very give and take. There's some choices and things that it does where I really dislike it, but then something good comes out of it, or vice versa. Like the whole translucent thing, he's introduced so early, it's just shock value and just like kind of mindless bullshit. If he was introduced later, or like maybe in the second episode or something, just that he's naked and he's a fucking creep, it could be a little bit better than just like, oh yeah, just throwing away for laughs. Meanwhile, like shoving a bomb up his butt was actually like it had contextual reason for that to happen, because his skin is like diamond or whatever, like he's somewhat indestructible. It's not entirely clear, but like he's got some resistance, so it kind of makes sense for that to happen. Although for some reason the bomb becomes invisible too. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but like I guess it's fine. It's inside of him, and all his intestines and what he eats are as well. So I guess that's fine. It's just I don't know. There's just that was just a rule that I didn't think of, but yeah.
I would think that anything that's within his skin is also invisible, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I just thought that
within the confines. Okay. Beyond that, I would agree that there are definitely lines here and there that are unnecessary. Like some lines, I was like, that didn't need to be there. And that's usually though, on the rare occasions, because I do think they're rare, that it attempts a more serious tone. But I do think it also successfully pulls off a serious tone sometimes. It's not...
It really does depend, so I guess we'll get into more specifics around now.
I wouldn't say that it successfully pulls off the serious kind of melodrama that you see in superhero movies. A bunch, but to be frank, it doesn't work for me in those movies either. So go for it.
I wish I actually included examples because I don't know what I'm talking about. Honestly, I feel like some of these are gonna need a rewatch. at least in the first half, to see like if there was actually like a quality difference, or if I just became numb to it, or like actually started to see like potential in there. But for me, the biggest issue of everything here is the pilot itself.
Yeah, I could tell you didn't like the pilot. So let's get into that.
I found the pilot to be like really pandering and one dimensional.
Okay, what's that?
And I thought earlier today that like maybe it's because of like, and to get all David Lynchian, maybe it's because of the TV studios being like, we got to get as much out to draw the hook of people coming in.
Well,
that's
definitely the point of a pilot.
Hate. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But it definitely feels like a lot more, there's something behind the red curtain that was going on here.
I love the pilot. So
I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Like the most egregious thing for me is just like the how they just, and I know this is going to be a point of contention, but how they just kill off Robin, the girlfriend, like first thing in her first introductory scene.
Why do you hate that?
Because I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care.
That's the funny thing, because Mo told me he was like so sad when that happened, and I'm like, I wasn't. Because here's the thing with that. It's not about her. You're not supposed to care about her. It's for the development of Huey.
Yes, I know, but like, and she's kind of meant to be like the semi-MacGuffin, because like you see her, but I'm just so unattached. Like later on, I honestly forget that even happened, because Huey's development doesn't really go far outside of like he runs into Butcher and then he takes it from there. There's no real thing that I also discovered like at the end too. Huey never really like goes out and seeks vengeance himself. He just gets mad a little bit. Like he has that a little bit when he talks with Butcher, but like once he has that scene with Translucent, he just seems like, oh nah man, I'm good.
Well, I think it's a pretty honestly realistic reaction, because there's that side of you that's like, I can't fuck with this. Like, I can't get this deep into this.
I just found,
I think anyone would be conflicted to the point that they're not committing to any one like path.
I just found Huey to be incredibly lacking of any personality.
That's funny. I really like Huey, and I really like Butcher.
I like Butcher. He's interesting.
Yeah.
Even though he is...
character's been done a million times.
Even though he's 100% a comic book character, yes.
But I love Butcher.
And as soon as he came on, I was like, oh, fucking God, here we go.
Yeah. And I actually like all the boys. Like, you realize why it's called The Boys at some point. It's not about the superheroes. It's about the boys. Yeah,
the gang.
Yeah,
the rebel gang, and it was pretty clear what it was going to do. What narrative it was going to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it it revealed too much too quickly.
I'd say
with like how the superheroes are and all that. Like also in the pilot we get Aquaman being
is it in the pilot? Yeah,
a predator or something, or what's the term?
Yeah. So it could have taken its time. I get what you mean. It could have taken its time to expose like, oh, all soups are bad. ASAP. But ASAP, yeah. But like, I kind of appreciate that it didn't, because I kind of like that we're immediately just thrown in, because it's kind of from Starlight's perspective. She thinks it's going to be that way, so they kind of just cut the bullshit and they're like, yeah, this is how it is. It's politics. It's a very realistic approach to this, I think. If superheroes existed, then I think it would be
stronger though if they if when she was introduced with the Seven, and then just to find that they just treat it like a day job, and that they're jaded and like uncaring about it, uncaring and distant with the public, and that they don't have that active of a role, then that's like a first hint of like, huh. But instead, you just get Deep's dick and fucking tan lines on his crack, which is just like shock value and uncomfortable for the sake of being just that.
Yeah, that's a shocking.
I don't think that scene is unnecessary though. Like it just needs. I feel like it needs to be earned.
You thought it needed to be later.
I feel like it needed to be earned as opposed to like you just there it is, because then that's his character, and then like
I'm gonna call that fair, but I'm gonna say it worked for me.
Yeah, it didn't work for me is what I'm saying. I feel like if lots of the events in the pilot, even if it happened in episode 2, I'd be like cool with it. or at least cooler with it. Yeah, and Starlight is also an interesting character, but like predictable, and that like
Mm-hmm.
and what she's going to like represent, and like how she's going to feel about certain things, and
Right.
how that's going to create conflict within like the politics and everything. It was funny though too, like in the first scene where you meet Homelander and he saves those kids or whatever, and like like just launches those criminals like 50 feet in the air. I jokingly said they're dead. Not knowing like what was going to really be happening. I was like, oh,
yeah,
it is this.
Were you you must have not been expecting a straightforward superhero thing when I recommended this, because that's not really like my niche kind of thing. Like, I like this because it does feel realistic to me, which is funny.
I knew you were gonna like it because it is a critique on superheroes.
Well, yeah, but it's not just that. It's like, I think there are like unique topics addressed here, which is the way that they're celebrities. The superheroes are celebrities, and they're politicized.
Yeah,
like that's what it's all about.
Which is
they're Hollywood,
like parallel with real life.
Yep, that's how it would be if there were superheroes. I'm like, I have no doubt. Like,
oh yeah. I just find it.
There's like the superheroes in the military issue and superhero Olympics. Like, there's all this different shit. Like,
and then that opens up that really interesting thing about if superheroes should be in the military, but it kind of brushes over it, by like debunking it with like one sentence, and it's just like, there it goes.
I think it's still going.
It became
that thread's still going.
Yeah, it's still going, but I mean, in terms of the discussion, it is a pretty open and shut case. Like, yep, this is the bad thing to want. This is the villain,
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to like making it a little more ambiguous. Well, but I want to say I found it ironic that the main villain is this corporate cardboard cutout,
mm-hmm.
and it's probably like the exact reason why the pilot is so rushed, or at least the first half is so rushed, because they're like shock value, ratings.
I will say I really love the end of the first episode.
So that's why I wanted to maybe check out the graphic novel.
Yeah,
because then it would actually like maybe take its time with that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they do treat Robin still as a MacGuffin, but even then she's like hardly mentioned after the first couple episodes.
I think, like, yeah, for me it's just that she's kind of the thing that sets things. It's like in Until Dawn in the first chapter. You know what I'm talking about if you played it. Like, it just sets off the game. You don't need to know them. Like, these characters are attached.
The thing is about MacGuffin character is that
there's plot device.
There's no it's setting the plot forward, and there's no real need to develop them. But that character means as much to us as it means to the other characters, more the main character. And Huey gets upset about it for like a few episodes, and then just kind of like, oh, Starlight, oh, pretty girl,
Well,
like
his driving force becomes how cruel they are.
Yeah, but
how much they don't care. They don't even remember who this is. Like, even though they met up, they had to apologize.
Yeah,
like,
but in a way, I don't remember like who she is. I do. It is a strength. Like I said, it's a give and take. It's like they treated it really badly, but like the good that came out of it is like how the Soups treat it. It's just if only there were like maybe if she were more developed, or if she were more important in Huey's life or something. He just lost a girlfriend. Like, his life ultimately like stayed the same. He didn't lose anything. Nothing like really changed externally other than that.
Well, yeah, from what we know, but like I don't know if I would have loved as much to have like a season or a half a season of them getting together, and then a Soup runs through his girlfriend.
Well, and honestly, that fucking scene is like so gruesome. You would think like. Mm-hmm. Honestly, there would be even a stronger like emotional reaction to it.
Yeah. Oh well, he was kind of just shocked, if I remember.
Yeah, but he didn't throw up or anything, or like
I can't remember his face. I just remember him like kind of holding her hands, and then like kind of making that face he makes. I do love his face. I love his face.
I hate it. I want to punch it. Like, honestly, like, he looks like Trent.
Trent? Yeah. Who's Trent?
That character we made on the channel.
I really love Huey.
I think that he was like the majority of my problems with the first half of the season.
That's so funny because he reminds me of you.
Fuck off.
Well, I'm just saying because I think he's a good character, so you take that as you will.
I think he's just so lacking in personality and depth.
I think he's kind of a.
They could have really whipped him into shape by actually like having him having his own motivation for certain things rather than like getting dragged around by Butcher. Hell, Butcher, like, even you find out that he saw less of what Huey like saw. Like, he literally saw this girl get fucking eviscerated in front of him, holding her fucking what's the dismembered hands, and like he's still not as hardened and like, you know, fuck you mate, like as Butcher,
right?
And he didn't see shit. He just like, you know, it pretty much became speculation or like you know, reasoning, not deductive reasoning,
right.
The other type, the in something, I forget what it's called.
I don't know. I do want to
intuitive reasoning, whatever.
I do want to get on with like, I guess maybe a different topic. I don't know.
Or just move forward.
Just move forward. Yeah. Let's look at a note or two. Because what'd you think of Homelander? Let's talk about some of the characters. Because I think he's really good.
I actually really like Homelander. He's really interesting to watch because not often you actually see a confident and competent villain.
And he was actually one of the characters that was kind of slowly they showed you the cards of him.
I still feel
you know like, there's something up with him, but like
I still feel like you kind of got the gist of him like pretty early on.
Yeah.
You know, when you see him like take down a fucking plane like in the second episode or something.
Yeah.
And that, you know, everyone is pretty visibly intimidated by him, which actually was one of the more subtle things that this show did.
Yeah.
There's not much else in terms of subtlety, I think, though. But,
right. I don't think it calls for it, but we can talk about that in a minute.
But I really did like to see like his potential pretty much with how he like handled Butcher at the end. But we'll definitely talk about the end later.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the interesting thing about Superman is not anything about him. It's how to take someone like him down.
Right.
And it just becomes Superman literally just becomes uninteresting because kryptonite exists.
So when he's bad,
he doesn't have a kryptonite is the thing. So it's like, how do you take down a god? And that's pretty much the gist of Eastern type of storytelling. You got Eastern type as well as Western type, which is like, you know, Western is very duality. It's good versus evil. You know, we got an us versus them thing, which is prevalent in the country itself. Eastern is very much like a very more personal, like try to fight against like your fate or against the gods.
Right.
And I really wanted to see those two like kind of concepts married here. And we only really see the Eastern come in like at the end when we get to more clearly like, you know, actually going up against Homelander rather than just talking about it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even seem like it was planning that. It was just kind of like, you know, meandering a little bit, went from like, yeah, we're going to take out each of the 7. And then I did like how it changed though to like them covering themselves. Made it feel like their actions had some consequences. I don't understand why fucking Butcher was trying to fucking taunt Homelander. I thought it was really fucking dumb.
Oh, when they killed Translucent?
Yeah, and stuffed his remains in a zinc box that had a message on it. They could have just easily burned his remains and then made it untraceable.
Well, I get why he's taunting him. It's because he can't kill him. Like, he knows that he just wants to fuck him. Like, he wants to fuck with him, yeah. Which, I guess. Yeah, which is what they said at the end. Like, I just want to hurt you. Like,
yeah, I can give that a pass then with that motive. I just think in the moment, I thought it was stupid and out of character for Butcher.
Right.
Because he's a very, like, you know, got to keep things under wraps, very on top of shit, as opposed to, like, chaotic and just vengeful, which is what he is, but, like, early on it shows it's not the opposite.
Yeah,
like,
and I want to talk about Butcher in a second.
Yeah, Butcher's definitely, like, a huge topic to get into, but Homelander, yeah.
I've got notes on Homelander, too, whenever you're ready.
I mean, I think I'm pretty much it. That's pretty much all I had to say about him.
Cool.
Is that you don't really see because like the villain or a main antagonist in anything like Western shit is always like all rubbing their hands, all fucking like greedy and evil and shit, and then they get foiled like pretty fucking easily. It's like so like, bleh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why Doctor Who kind of has that appeal, because it's like, how are they gonna take care of the situation and get out of there?
Right.
So Homelander is interesting to watch because of that.
And
he's also like scarily charismatic too, and that he can just change his mood on the fucking drop of
you really don't know what's going on in there.
On the like, drop of a dime.
That's why. Okay, so
why he's also interesting too. Is like the emotional like range and how quickly he flip flops from smiling at you to fucking yelling at someone else.
So here's what I have on Homelander. I think he's a great and scary villain. I do think he's scary, and perfectly cast as well.
Well, yeah, because of his like charisma, like his type of personality. That's what makes him terrifying.
Yeah,
he's like a fucking a cannon that's always lit, but you don't know when it's gonna go off.
Right. But also, I will mention very quickly then, because I said he's perfectly cast. I think him, Huey, and Butcher are all perfectly cast. I can't imagine anyone else in those roles. Maybe some others too, but I didn't think about it. Yeah, I know you don't think there's much to Huey.
I think Homelander, but and like Butcher, I feel like anyone else can kind of really do him.
I love like that look for him though. Maybe like Hugh Jackman or something.
Yeah,
but like
the look. But I mean, to be real, the look is pretty uninspired.
Yeah,
when you really look at him.
To me, it just works with the accent and the beard.
Oh yeah, it works. Oh yeah, no, I love his
accent.
accent. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Like to me, Carl Urban does a great job with him, and I thought it was pretty cool to find out he was in Lord of the Rings, because to me, he looks totally different.
See, I liked his accent, and it made him more, intimidating. The way he says "cunt."
Cunt. Yeah.
And this is gonna be weird. I have no like. This is gonna be like subjective as fuck, but I found Frenchie's accent to be incredibly distracting.
That might just be how he talks.
I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
I'm trying to think, like, is this accent inconsistent? I can't even tell.
But hang on. So Homelander, I think he's a great and scary villain. So I actually said I figured you don't like the way he was developed. But for me it works in the same way that Frank Booth works in Blue Velvet. He's perverse, he's unpredictable, and he's got nothing to lose. He's basically a god, and that's quite scary, and he's quite an unsettling presence, especially towards the end. Like, it makes me curious about season 2, especially because we don't know what the fuck he wants, what he's doing. Like, why is he just like kind of cool with Butcher at the end? Which we'll get to the end, you said, but yeah, we don't know what's going on in there.
Well, also, I do like how he's in control of the situation, and it somewhat seems like he has standards for what goes on, whereas like the rest of the heroes in the Seven are just kind of off, like doing their own thing, fucking around, really.
Yeah, dude, the Deep is just completely played for comedy the whole second half of the season. He gets booted out, and then he just he gets booted out for trying to save a dolphin, and it's hilarious. And then he goes and fucking starts talking to lobsters. He hooks up with that girl who fingers his gills, and it's like. And it's just, I know, I figured you hated that.
I hate that scene. It was just so uncomfortable. And just honestly seeing his gills just sucked worse. Just in her stick. I actually was nauseous after that scene. I had to focus on other things.
I love it because, like, yeah, of course, it's on the nose, like a lot of it, but he's getting what he deserves, basically, for, being a Me Too man.
Me Too man.
Yeah, Me Too man. That's what he should be.
A sex offender.
Yeah, so like he's kind of getting his just desserts.
Yeah. I feel like they could have done his arc with a little bit more respect. Yeah. Like he should have hit that low, and like you feel like
he's still like somehow he's still not entirely demonized by the show. Like they make him this pathetic joke, but like they also like still give him the time of day. Like you're supposed to pay attention to what's going on with this character. And like he's not just like completely dismissed, which is kind of cool. Because clearly they write off any chance of you giving a fuck about him when he sexually harasses one of our main characters in the first episode. I don't know what happened over there. I guess you're trying to scare Coop. There he is.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. It sounds like you probably sounds like you shot my cat.
Oh, I don't know if the mic picked that up. I just slapped the couch because he's kind of like back there, like occasionally swatting at my hair, starting to fucking annoy me.
That's what he does.
Yeah, Coop's really been getting on my nerves lately, but
Mm-hmm.
back on track.
Back on track. Well, yeah, that's just what I had to say about Homelander. Yeah, I think he's pretty great. Did you want to get into something, or should I pull
Well,
up
we already
another
kind of went into
idea?
the deep a little bit.
Okay, cool. Oh, so you want to talk about that?
I guess. I feel like they really could have like done his arc a little bit better. You know,
Right now, he's kind of meandering.
it is. Yeah.
But I do
they
like
really
how it
could've-
just kind of is used for comedic. Like it adds just some
Honestly,
extra comedy
the
scenes.
deep is the key to like actually go into that subject.
Yeah.
About that sort of thing.
They could-
Me Too, sex offenders and all that.
I have to say though, just before I forget, that I love how they start in the last episode or two. They just show him doing all this like fucking cliche shit. Like he starts to write deeper. A memoir.
A memoir, yeah.
and it's playing that song, Everybody Hurts. And like the other song, I forget, like an episode before that, they did another one, one of those songs.
There's another. No, that wasn't the. Everybody Hurts is when you're shaving his head.
Yeah.
There's the other song where he was like writing his thing, and honestly, I like that song, but I forgot what it was.
I forgot what song it was too, but I was like, it's the song, and I didn't write it down. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just love how like it works what they're doing with him, but he's kind of just meandering.
Yeah.
It's just adding this like we're gonna cut in something purely nonsensical and comedic for you. He tries to save a lobster, and
Well, it actually it plays with the idea that like nothing really ever does. That's gonna be my fucking TM, I swear. Like how would a person like seek redemption from that in this day and age? Or like,
True.
If because there are obviously monsters out there that'll just do that just to hurt people and all that shit. I feel like we should put Coop in your bedroom. He's being like
yeah.
mad
So you
annoying.
keep talking.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see. Yeah, they could really oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Just cut this part out.
A train of thought.
We'll get to A Train, obviously, but let's see deep. Yeah, because like, and it's awful, but like, how does if a person just simply made a mistake because they were desperate or had a rough life or anything, how does one come back from that in this day and age, especially when you have a following?
Right.
Or is it just like a one case, like shut and done, like they're done forever,
Right. And I don't know how much I have to add to what you said. Because I agree, like that's a unique perspective.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting like thing that nobody really talks about, and I think is a huge, not issue, but like a prevalent like, kind of thing that's happening in society, where like America is really, really like has a justice boner, and that they need justice immediately, and however like they see fit, like everyone right now is like kind of wants to feel like that they have like say and rule over certain judgment, which is why cancel culture exists.
Yeah, and
so it really has a potential to open up a huge like discussion on that, but it kind of just plays it for laughs, I guess, and doesn't really give it time of day.
Yeah, because they're making it clear that you're not supposed to be, sympathetic, I think, for this character, but also they, in my opinion, they might be keeping him open for an arc in the long run.
Potentially,
which would be cool because
you
like
haven't seen the second season.
No, I haven't. And there's a third one planned, so I don't know. I actually did hear that season 2 wasn't as good, but that was YMS said that. So I don't know. Our opinions don't always line up.
Yeah, I mean, I respect YMS, quite a bit.
Yeah, he gave this season an 8 out of 10, which might be surprising to you. But so yeah,
I found that a little surprising. Yeah.
But shit, what was I saying? I don't know. I do just find it so entertaining as far as that's concerned.
But in terms of the comedy
I took
parts,
left turn.
like honestly, half of the deep comedy like segments really landed for me. The other ones fell flat, like the dolphin. That
I can tell you didn't like that, but I love it.
the dolphin, I think, is the worst.
It's very
like,
Eric
bit.
Kripke, I think.
It's very Family Guy like. It's like I feel like that was ripped straight from Family Guy episode. It's just missing the 2-frame like dolphin from the van onto the road thing.
Yeah.
But it has to be in a flashback sequence. I have such a distaste for like Seth MacFarlane's like comedy now, and it's a shame because I actually do respect the man, but like, ugh, man,
I do
fucking Flannerized himself.
I do love that scene personally. I figured you didn't, because that's like obviously more like. It's kind of like the same thing that happens with the lobster. It's just kind of supposed to be, kind of shocking to this character. And it's just like, look, he's a pathetic loser.
Yeah, but like it kind of just turned into like, like how some SpongeBob humor is now, where it's just Squidward torture porn. And like that is like, the big funny. To me, that's what some of the deep segments were, like with the lobster and the dolphin, or it's just like, ha ha, he sucks. And like that's the punchline, is at the expense of the character. I'm just like, meh. I think it's lazy in terms of like writing and comedic delivery.
I think so. For me, that stuff gets a pass if it works for me, which is it's as simple as that, I guess. So it did work for me. So that's all I can really say for that.
I think it could if it actually did something more with it. If it actually helped like change or alter him or one way, like it would actually make sense. But then it wouldn't, lose its comedic value and all that, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Some people. This show is not going to be for everyone. Also,
yeah,
just its style of humor.
I have no real like thoughts on how it could work. I just think that type of writing is lazy in terms of comedy.
Sure. Just I guess I'll quickly say I don't even know if you had any notes on this, but I like the usage of music in this, and I figured if anything you wouldn't, but I'll tell you why.
I thought it was passable.
I'll tell you why. It's very Eric Kripke. He uses a lot of just kind of more like kind of classic music, and he uses it very aesthetically, stylistically.
It's very pop culture-y and also like on the nose as well.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, that usage of music I actually like enjoy. Yeah. But like, or mostly passable, if anything. But obviously, like the peak of that type of, the way it's using music is best, exemplified in Shrek.
Right.
Seriously, no, dead ass.
No, I know what you mean.
And I do like the opening, like, framing of when, the boys logo opens up in every episode.
Yeah.
I think that's actually pretty neat. And like one of the actual, like, oh wow, they paid attention to like how the shot would kind of be and framing and all that.
Right.
Where otherwise it just kind of has, the sloppy like camera movement and all that shit that I'm just tired of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, well, wow, The Office did it, and now we gotta fucking do that everywhere. It's just like, why can't we just hold the camera still and show the fucking thing? I don't think it adds anything.
Let me say
action scenes, sure, but like
I don't know if I know exactly what you're referring to, so I'm
where it just shows the like it gives the feeling that the camera is like being held and is shaking and moving around the scene.
I guess I don't pick up on it.
I just find that distracting. I feel like since The Office did it, everyone's just like, oh, we gotta do that, And it's like it immediately becomes way more formulaic too, especially with like sitcoms.
Well, I don't know how it transitioned back to music, but that's what I wanted to mention. For
okay, yeah, we talked about music, so I was like, okay,
no, I was gonna mention an example. Sure. Because my favorite usage is actually in the pilot. And I really like the last scene in the pilot, which I didn't think you did.
What was the last scene
it was very superhero, which is funny. They've got the Clash's London Calling playing, and it's fucking epic. You got Butcher coming. They're at the place Huey works, the electronics store, and Translucent comes to fuck with Huey.
Oh yeah.
And Butcher and Translucent get into that fight, and London Calling's playing, and I fucking love that. And
I thought it was passable, though. I think the where he shoves the coax wire up his ass and shocks him, I found that distracting because it was like, that's not how that thing kind of works.
was it up his ass?
Well, he like plugged it into him. I figured it was up his ass somewhere, but like,
Oh.
I was like, I don't think there's gonna be enough electricity to like fully electrocute him and tase him.
No, I wouldn't think so, but I can't say that I know.
It's just there for like the show, really.
Yeah, likely. But
it's just like it's basically like TV logic.
But yeah, that doesn't.
It's nitpicky.
That's I was gonna say that's like nitpicky to me.
I have a few nitpicky things, but it just kind of like takes me out of it, and I'm just like,
Sure.
I like attention to detail.
And
honestly, we get that he was a techie dude, but like he throws out like so much jargon bullshit to like make it sound like he knows what he's talking about, when in reality it sounds like the writers are overcompensating for that.
See, I think that's something they're aware of, because I noticed you rolled your eyes at something he said about like how fast they'd get her internet, and I think that's I think that's actually, or possibly I'm giving them too much credit, but I really do think like that's a kind of a bit of a meta joke where most people aren't gonna know what they're saying, but the people who do, it's a joke for them to be like, yeah, right.
No, my problem with that, and which is like, which I'm glad we're here, because this is going to be like it for in terms of this type of dialogue.
Okay.
It wasn't so much like we're going to get to 1,000 megabits. He said Mbps, which I have a huge problem with. No one fucking says that ever.
Oh.
Like, not in the history of anything. Like, unless you're like referring,
I haven't heard that.
Unless you're referring to a model name, you're never going to just say the individual letters. Of something. You say megabits when you're talking about internet. That's what the abbreviation is for. You don't say that, I picked up new Call of Duty and it's 20.9 GBS. Gigabytes. Fucking just say it,
So I guess he said Mbps.
Yes.
I don't even remember it, but yeah, sure.
He said Mbps. I was just like, you what? You're a tech guy. What? But I did say as a joke later too, because they said that they were going to get her internet to 1,000 megabits, which is like, stupidly fast. And I just said like, man, she's going to be real mad when her internet's not going any faster. Right. Like, man, if I was promised 1,000 and I was still getting like, fucking 100 or some shit, I'd be so heated. But yeah, I digress. It's nitpicky, but it's like, it's just so fucking like
easy to not have that there.
Yes, it's easy to not have it there, and like the inclusion of that, of him saying it, is just jarring to me.
Sure, yeah, and most people, aren't going to pick up on that. But
I think whenever like they have to insert jargon in places, it takes me out of it, because it's like that's not like proper dialogue, like even in a comic booky sense, or like like, could you imagine if in Whiplash they were just like tossing fucking like music jargon as opposed to like actual terms that are being used by people that you don't even have to like, sure, people aren't going to know them, but they're not going to know them either way by trying to make it sound more smart. Whenever like they try to make it sound more smart is usually when it does the opposite.
Right. So for me, just in general with that stuff, if it's like something more like niche, I guess, like for example, bowling. If something doesn't do bowling right, I don't care. Like, and I think the majority of people won't. The bowlers,
no, it's fine if they don't. If they don't do it right, there's there's just that lack of knowledge.
Right.
It doesn't need to be unless that's a central focus.
Right.
If we're talking like Big Lebowski,
I think they did do it right.
They did it pretty justice. And even if they did, it wouldn't matter so much because it's not the focus of the movie. The focus of the movie is his fucking carpet.
Yeah, but I think like for me, it doesn't bother me if like, oh, that's inaccurate or whatever. But if it is accurate, then I appreciate that extra effort.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but the difference is like not if they do it inaccurately. It's when it brings your attention to it,
Right.
Where it's like, hey, look, we're doing it right when they're not, And then it's just like, you get a "you tried" sticker from me.
Sure, fair enough.
If they like,
obviously
said some like, if they just like started rolling off fucking, jargon from bowling that like no one really says.
Sure.
Yeah.
And obviously the woman who they were giving the internet doesn't know anything about it. So
but
she's
honestly,
like, okay.
Yeah. And all they need to do is just change, the lingo to like make it what people say.
Yep.
Also, I think I said megabits. It's supposed to be like megabits a second per
Yeah.
second, whatever. Any one of those would have been fucking fine, but he had to like abbreviate it.
Right. Okay.
That's it in terms of that. Went a little too long there.
Last little thing I had on music was Mother's Milk. I think had the Rick Roll ringtone, and I love that.
Oh yeah, I just I'll just meh.
I think it's pretty.
It didn't do anything for me either way. I was just like, oh yeah, it's an embarrassing ringtone. It could be literally anything.
Okay, now I want to see if I had
fucking Smash Mouth or Weezer or anything really. What I did like though was how he talked on the phone.
You liked Mother's Milk, right? His character.
Oh, I didn't know that was his name. I just knew it was MM.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I liked him mostly. They didn't really like go into him like too much. Other than him and Butcher had history as a family dude. I just liked when he was talking on the phone for the first time to his wife.
Right.
And like the boys are kind of looking at him, and he hesitates on the kiss, and they start laughing. I found that really funny because it's like, oh man, it's so funny to hear like people talk to like their significant other sometimes. They sound like so different. It's just hilarious.
Right. I guess. Did you have anywhere you wanted to go? I have a couple more things to touch.
Go for it.
I guess we'll get into just a couple quick things that don't work for me. Because I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's pretty great. The show overall. I'm not huge on the kind of gritty, grimy, grungy, desaturated color palette that this show is, flooded with.
I didn't really notice too much.
For me, sometimes it's a bit much, and like it's definitely a stylistic choice. You kind of get used to it, but then like sometimes it'll show like the past, like when it showed Butcher without his beard and they're at that party or whatever. Like it's a lot more saturated because it's like the past, and like I do like that they go through the effort of showing the difference, but just in general, sometimes something doesn't look as good because it's so desaturated. I guess that didn't.
I didn't really notice.
You didn't take issue with that.
No.
Okay. Well,
So
I just want
no
to mention that because I think YMS pointed that out too, so it got me thinking about it.
Sure.
And I'm thinking more in the early episodes. There's quite a few plot conveniences, but on the flip side, there are some clever writing setups here and there too. But like one of the biggest plot conveniences, unless I missed something, is Huey and Starlight meeting.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah. That's a pretty big, like, they just kind of sit on the bench together. And
Starlight honestly, and like the finale kind of got me thinking like maybe she's just a Deus Ex Machina.
How so?
Where like she's just heavy
OP?
quotations, coincidentally in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
Or like she saves them like right when the siege like comes around.
Yeah,
that's a cliche done in fucking everything. It's just whatever.
And I think a number of things are done on purpose, but
I think
it's hard to know like the difference sometimes, and that's when you have to question it.
I think them just happening to sit down next to each other in the same park, man, that was fucking egregious.
Yeah, I don't.
Lazy.
That didn't seem like some meta commentary. Maybe the idea that she shows up and saves them could be like that's a very superhero thing to do. But again, like,
well, it's a cliche in superhero things, and I don't like that either.
Yeah,
I have a distaste for it, unless like it shows them like already on their way and they'll be there any second. They just happen to pull off the right timing.
Yeah,
and it's cool. They happen to fucking know where you are and show up like, out of the blue like that, and then it's different. Or Homelander is an exception too.
How?
To him being anywhere.
Oh, right.
Because they've already established that he's got like super hearing, sight, like he can monitor people's like, fucking endorphin levels and heart rate, blood pressure, things like that.
Yep.
Just by looking at them. So it's more or less like, an unstoppable force, pretty much.
What'd you think of that episode, Jesus Camp or whatever it was?
Oh, fucking atrocious because it was so on the nose and ham-fisted.
See,
just like fucking is so just devoid of any nuance or subtlety.
it is, but to me, it's that Borat thing.
I think some people.
It's more Borat than it is Life is Strange.
I think some people talking about it, like the characters talking about it, isn't unlike how people would talk about religion if like we got into it. Like, you know, Huey being unsure, Starlight being this Christian girl, and you know, Butcher fucking
yeah.
you know, being a boomer about it.
Yeah. I love it though.
But I okay, yeah. But even though personally I agree with Butcher like the most, you know, of the characters. But he was just, you know, being so fucking loud about it, you know, like how we both were when we were in like 10th grade.
Right. And then they've got
we're like, we have our truth and we want to speak it, you know.
Yeah, again, not subtle, but I still think done well. I need to make that distinction because you might think like that I'm one of the people who always need something to be subtle. For me, it really depends on what it is. If you're making like absolutely if you're making something more artistic or horrific or something, that's usually the way to go. Nuance, subtlety.
To me, it depends.
With
it depends on how seriously it wants to take itself, really.
Yeah.
So if we go back to like, you know, the broad discussion about it.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh God, what is Coop doing in my room? I just think it's par for the course. This isn't high art or anything by any means.
Yeah. And also cliche that the preacher dude is, you know, homosexual.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I did notice that early on, you took issue with they exposed someone by having the shapeshifter turn into a man. The guy, like the Republican guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, why not just a child or something? And for one thing,
yeah, that'd be awful to show.
For one thing, yeah, that'd be awful to show. But no, it's not the commentary it's trying to make. Well, it's trying to make fun of how like you don't even have to. You just have to be gay, and people will cancel you. Like if you're a Republican.
Yeah, but like I'm just like it's just I don't know. When he did that, I was just like, what's wrong with being gay?
Yeah, it's the commentary on homophobia.
Yeah.
So like that, I wanted to say that in the moment, but I was like, well, I'll save that for
But it seemed as though the punchline was made on like him turning into, you know, an overweight man, as opposed to the aftermath and how people took to that. Is, you know, as an injustice being done to the people, you know, fucking doing injustices of like, you know, the corporate bullshit with superheroes and all that.
Right, but there have literally been, you know, examples, real life examples of, you know, these Republican congressmen who are gay, and then it like ruins their whole career because they were preaching.
Or the opposite, you know, where you get politicians making, you know, fun of that still in this fucking day and age.
Yeah.
Where a fucking president is, you know, making homophobic, you know, kind of jokes and remarks about someone, you know, loving their son.
Yeah.
Which is fucking, you know, egregious in like every sense of the word, but I digress again.
Okay.
I just had issue with like it felt like the punchline was that, you know, as opposed to the aftermath.
We're pretty much at the end of my notes. What do I have?
But honestly, yeah, if you want to ruin the career, just, you know, turn into a child. But like, yeah, showing it would be fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
To say the least.
Random ass note. Butcher, he shows some range. He gets pretty fucking scary when he kills Mesmer, I think. It's a pretty.
I love that scene.
It's a pretty brutal scene.
I love that scene.
Yeah,
because here's the thing with Butcher also that I took some issue with is like how they kind of like, you know, exposition that right in your fucking in your dirty little face with flashbacks and shit. I don't have a problem with, but with Mesmer, his whole point is going into, you know, people's minds and shit that's already established by making contact, and him punching and getting those like flashes and shit of like his simpler life was actually pretty powerful, I think.
Yeah, I saw you laugh there, and I thought you didn't like it. I was like, do you not get what's happening?
as opposed, well, I think.
But yeah, I guess you
I laughed because it did it in slow-mo.
Yeah.
And it lost all of the moment. Like that those scenes where like it transitions to slow-mo are what's the word? The continuity errors, because it doesn't look like there's any momentum being delivered there. It is really like, ooh, you know, like fucking. I just found that funny.
Fair, but I do agree. Like,
I don't know if it did it on purpose or not, but also.
It's a good, like, I think it's a good scene.
Yeah, and then it ends, with him taking him out and on the sink.
Fucking
Brutal
ruthlessly.
scene. But after it's done, he looks up and he just happens to be in front of a mirror and see himself doing that violent act.
Yeah.
After he was reflecting on his past, now he's literally reflecting on himself. Cool scene. That I think is like Butcher's best scene in the whole season.
And it's right after Mesmer's like, I've got a wife and kids or whatever, and like. Butcher's scary after that scene. I didn't think he was a scary dude until that.
I was with Butcher, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see Mesmer pay. Like, fuck him, fucking rat. And like, yeah, him being like wife and kids. You already got like pretty much all of Butcher's feelings in there, especially when he was going back and when he was like, I can help you, and like he basically was like, when he took a hold of him, it didn't show it either. Which I love. It didn't show shit. But, like, you got the reaction of Mesmer where he's like, you can't help this. Like, look at what I went through. And then he's like, I got a wife and kids. He's like, I had a wife, bitch.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I definitely really like that scene. I did have some sympathy for Mesmer, like, in the beginning with his daughter and shit. But, like, as soon as he went to Homelander, I was like, okay, you're a little bitch.
I do.
Interesting character, though. Kind of like, introduced a little too late, though, I think. Just kind of like convenient almost, but
generally, yeah.
I have no problem with him.
Generally, I do care about the characters in the show, which I like, because I usually don't in superhero media. Because, it's usually predictable with superhero media.
Well, that's how
like, it kind of tells you how you're supposed to feel. You kind of know, like, which characters are the good and which one's bad. This one, I know you're going to disagree, but I think there's even some nuance to the soups. Like, there is some sympathy that it's just kind of scratching the surface with the soups, with Compound V and everything. And
I found that to be really interesting, too.
And it didn't really get into it, but there's potential that, like, the soups could have, like, some kind of change potentially, or maybe not. Like, they could go completely off the deep end.
It really only went into depth with Compound V with Starlight, Homelander, and A-Train.
Right.
And the rest conveniently are left unaware about this.
Yeah, if you wanted to say anything about A-Train before we wrap it up, go for it.
Okay, I didn't know we were wrapping it up.
Well, I've only got one other thing, which I'll just say quickly then, because I just wanted to point out that Simon Pegg is in this. I love Simon Pegg. The guy from Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really weird to hear him do an American accent as well. Also, I have a note that I keep scrolling past, Funko Pop LOL. I kind of like that. Thought it was cute.
Was there?
Where he had an A-Train Funko Pop or something.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And because apparently Huey was like, a massive fan or some shit.
Yeah.
The fuck? I'm kind of stupid. I put episode 7 and then right underneath it, episode 10.
Oh, whoa, wait. I guess I'll quickly mention just like an interesting dynamic in here too that I think is very true to life. Just living out here in LA is all I needed to do to see how this like relationship and dynamic would develop between Starlight and her mom.
Yes.
I really like what they've got going on there. Obviously, again,
very, very pageant mommy, and like it's been done before.
Yeah, it's very like, of course, in your face again, but like it's so accurate now that I know people like that.
Well, yeah, everything. Yeah, but I get it. You're from a small town, that shit doesn't happen. But pageant moms, very much a thing. I literally saw that happen in real life. In my time at the castle. It's a pretty sad thing to see, honestly, but like since it's been done so much, I feel like there's not really a whole lot to add to it. It's just now she's a superhero. It's not this is your dream, not mine. I haven't had a chance to make my own dream. Powerful stuff, but it's just like been over this before.
Yeah, definitely.
But I did like how Starlight like went against her mom on stage.
Yeah,
but I also found it like pretty stilted and like skewed in the forced perspective of the writers, and that literally no one reacted to it.
No, yeah, I agree.
Like,
I agree that Huey the only one clapping.
Okay, here's another nitpicky thing. It's almost physically impossible to get a crowd that quiet.
Yeah,
because if you honestly, less than half of the crowd could be clapping. It could sound like more than 80%.
Yeah, like I get what they were going for, but there's no way that like one person would clap because people are inspired by the bravery of that. That's like
literally,
no matter how much you like disagree even.
Yeah, and that whole episode is just all like skewed because like also where they were in that little tent and having that thing where like Starlight had to force like, just bad and on the nose Christian moralities and all of that onto the kids where they were asking those type of things. You would think that they would be present in the crowd and like, have new motivation, a new idol for a person that understands them rather than forcing them into this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole Christianity thing, yes, it happens in real life, but it's just like we already know. I don't know, like I feel like Christians even know like this stuff, whatever. But yeah, they are. It was honestly just kind of like I don't want to say cringy because it's not really like a good classification for it. I don't know. Where they were like, when the kids were asking questions, when they were like, "Are you a virgin?" or like all that,
right?
Things like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, A-Train, go for it.
I do kind of want to go on Starlight a bit too.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I also think the whole feminist message is too on the nose as well.
Sure, go for it.
Way too much on the nose. Like, it's even more obvious when they try to like change her outfit. It's like that makes sense, but like I don't know, it's just so ham-fisted too.
Obviously that happens, but
yeah, it obviously happens, duh. Especially with character design and shit. It's like
yeah, you can express
it's a very Hollywoody thing.
Yeah, whatever you want to go into. That's why I said like I don't know how many examples you'll need because I'm gonna make a pretty general statement that like the ham-fistedness with this show doesn't bother me given what it is.
I think it could benefit a lot, and it more or less in the characters if it was less on the nose, because she even like said literally like it's my body, And same thing with Homelander. He's a bit like because I think like I remember reading somewhere that he quoted George Bush.
Really?
Somewhere. I don't remember where. I felt like it could have been like early on.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
This show is pretty well received too, right? Because I know you were looking at reviews and stuff.
Yeah, but like
you must
honestly,
have been like, "What's this shit?"
Yeah, but the reviews are all the ones that are talking 5-star reviews are like really. Let's be okay. Oh man, I don't want to say these words because it only describes like the pure fucking idiocy and like regular. Honestly, the Amazon reviews are like one-on-one related with YouTube comments. No fucking substance. Everyone's just like superheroes. Like almost some of them miss the point of it.
That's what I mean. Like we're looking at this and it's like, yeah, it's on the nose, but like same with Borat, Cooper meowed. Which again is like the comparison that comes to mind because it's so in your face with its satire. People still miss this shit. Yeah, they still miss. There are people who are fans of Borat because they hate gay people and they hate fucking foreigners and like it's wrong, but it's like that's how good the satire was.
Yeah, but like it's just it's obviously like a whole other discussion, but it's why I demand better, stronger, and more substance in entertainment. So that way it doesn't just pander to the lower common denominator like fucking 13 Reasons Why, American Horror Story, and Life is Strange, where it's just mindless bullshit because people are too dumb to think about things. Not dumb, but unwilling to actually think about things critically.
Right. I don't think everything needs to be critical. Not everything in entertainment, surely. Like this, this is supposed to be fun.
Not everything has to have a message, but it's clearly trying to have a message too. Yeah. Like Supernatural doesn't, and I love it for that. Just like in its
Supernatural
own way.
Does. Yeah, you haven't seen much Supernatural,
I'm sure at times,
but yeah,
I'm sure at times
it does the same thing, like very over the top with its examples, which is what I see in it, and maybe you would if you saw more of that.
Like those examples I listed, those are all things that are trying to elicit a very like strong message, but it does it so fucking like egregiously and without any like care, knowledge, study, or like nuance into it.
Right.
It's just like, hey, suicide's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking sad, ain't it? but it's fucking awesome. Do it. No, like, what is the end game for this? Like, what are you trying to add to this? Just get people talking about it? I don't know. Just, I don't know. Simply existing and talking about it isn't enough for me. Which is the whole thing with the feminist thing with message with Starlight. And it kind of, after that few episodes, it kind of just gets brushed aside.
Well,
but also I do like how she does kind of get that like reputation afterwards, like with Homelander, like they have that meeting at the end where he really condescendingly pats, like kind of taps her on the shoulder, like, "Hey, power, right?" Right. And you see like Maeve kind of in the sidelines.
I really like Maeve, actually.
Maeve has so much potential, but they just made her cardboard cutout and like really let her come through at the end when it benefited Starlight.
See, I disagree with that. Because, like, I didn't really pick up on Maeve when I first saw this, but, like, on my second watch through, I was like, she's clearly, like, got a lot of issues with how things are, and she's quiet about it. And I think, like, we haven't seen it yet, but I think she's going to build up to something's going to come out of that. At least, yeah, I agree with you.
I wish there were a little more foreshadowing.
She's got a lot of potential.
I wish she was almost treated like Butcher, in a way that she, like, I don't know, it could be literally anything. It could be a scene by herself, like give her that Walter White scene where she like fucking beats up the towel dispenser,
right?
Like out of frustration and anger. But instead we just see her like pretty upset about Flight 37, which anybody would be in, like, obviously that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, but we don't get to see any of that build up at all. I like where she ends up, and like I love how like honestly the scene with Starlight where she was just kind of like obviously like trying to repress emotions and things like that from Huey. We didn't really get the conversation I was expecting, which was like, "Oh, you're better than this," blah 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 blah. But she basically was just like, "Be original."
From Maeve to Starlight,
yeah, where Maeve just said, "Be original," or like one of us has to be, or whatever.
Right.
I was just like, that's a neat little like that's a neat little perspective and like way angle to tackle that I didn't expect from this. I was expecting like a really cliche like type of convo about that shit.
Right. All right, you went pee.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
We just finished talking about Maeve
and Starlight and stuff, basically. Yeah. So we gotta just keep in mind that we're in season 1 of this show, and I feel like I can't argue for or against based on that, but I feel like there is at least potential for these characters to have a more developed arc. Like if you just saw season 1 of like Breaking Bad.
well there's a lot of potential for what these characters and where the plot can go with just its premise.
Yeah, I'm worried.
There's so many different angles that it can go, but it kind of just like goes with the same fucking notes that every other show is doing. And it feels like it's kind of like squandering that. And I guess my issue is, with the writing, like entirely, I guess.
Well, again, I don't know how much of that you can. Not that I have a problem with the writing, but I don't know how much you can hold that against the show versus the comic, because sometimes shows will stick like directly to the comic and other times they'll do whatever the fuck they want, like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, mostly I don't really see shows that really stick too heavily to the source material most of the time.
Right.
But yeah, let's see. So I guess we covered pretty much most of the characters.
Yeah, unless you wanted to talk about A-Train.
Yeah, we can get into A-Train and then
Not that he's
talk
like,
about the finale and maybe a bit more on Huey. Some other small positive things too that I liked.
Yeah, it's not like groundbreaking to talk about A-Train, but if you had stuff to say, go for it.
Well, yeah, I think they did really hold off on his development for the second half, which is weird because I thought he was going to be like, central focus. Since he starts the whole conflict and events, the call to adventure for our Huey,
right?
And I did like how I was just like whatever about the girlfriend, everything, the attitude, like it really allowed for like things to like take place.
Yeah.
but it's really only until like Compound V is like introduced is where we're allowed to get more into A Train.
It's with him that like there's this other layer added when he and Huey have that conversation in the 7th or 8th episode about
Where
you
he was
know what I'm
holding
talking
his
about.
dad hostage.
No. After that, when I think it was when Huey's got the upper hand and A Train's like, Huey, this is like your fault. Like,
Yeah, this is when he was in his dad's
is
their
it?
house. Yeah,
Okay.
where the Asian girl breaks her Kimiko breaks his femur.
I guess so. And yeah,
Fucking brutal, by the way, and I love it.
And he's just like, what do you think of her? Well, we'll get there.
Yeah. I did write down that A Train kind of had a point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I said, obviously he's flawed, but Huey isn't guiltless. So I hope they go into more depth with this newfound quality, and they don't.
Yeah, they not yet.
They get one more scene in the finale, but it's just the same thing, and it's just like I had a huge problem with the second conversation he had, where he blamed Huey, like, you killed the only girl I loved, and he was like, I didn't kill her. And he's like, I know, I did. I was like, what? I was like, the fuck?
That's clearly like funny writing. Like that's a joke, or not a joke, but like it's obviously like a dark joke.
I don't know. I didn't find it as funny. Like I felt like the scene was like, I thought what was happening, it was taking itself like mostly seriously throughout, and I was like waiting on two confrontations of this, which is Huey and A Train, and what's it? Butcher and the Homelander. I was blanking on names, which has a very strong parallel. I'm not going to get much into it with my favorite like thing media of all time, Berserk.
Right.
But it just kind of like pisses the second encounter with A Train away almost. But I do like how he kind of just died by a heart attack.
Yeah.
I actually I found that to be actually fitting with the show as a whole, because this is the one time we actually get like superhero action, like a fight. You get one thing and then he's just like, oh, I'm dying of random mother bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm dying to some lame shit, which is like the point, is like it knocks superheroes down.
Yeah, and this is like, I know like most superhero mediums try to enforce the message of like, you don't need these powers. People are superheroes and blah, blah, blah. This is like the one example where that really like works for me really well, I think.
Could you explain?
I would just argue that that's usually the point of superhero media. Is that like, it's not about the powers. It's about like just doing the right thing and being a good person and blah, blah, blah. And in
some instances,
and
not
in this,
like all.
Yeah. And in this, the boys don't have powers or anything. My mind's going everywhere. There is a lot to address when we talk about full season of something. Yeah,
and also when we talk about like other larger subjects as a whole, like with superheroes.
Yeah, and I would say, just like it popped in my mind because you did mention Frenchie at one point. I don't find his subplot and the thing with like him and Kimiko to be like all that engaging personally.
Me neither, and I have trouble like quantifying why. Other than like it just kind of felt forced, where like Frenchie just had this like fucking
affinity for her.
Yeah, out of the blue, just like super attached to her, you know, and is like really
that happens a lot.
Yeah, but like
I don't like that.
It's really at the detriment at his team, and yeah, that's a really cliche type of thing where it's just like,
right?
Oh no, she's just damaged, you gotta,
I don't not like his character, but I do not like his subplot.
I found him fucking annoying to begin with, but like he definitely grew on me just a little bit more. I found him to be one of the funnier people.
Yeah, I love. I mentioned it. Oh my god! Now both my cats are meowing at each other through the door.
Yeah, the joy of having two cats.
Yeah, I mentioned it while we were watching. I love that.
I do like the parallel though.
Frenchie was when Huey gets put in jail. He's like, oh, you did the most
Incroyable.
yeah, like incredible. You did the most useless thing you could have done. It's like
I've never seen someone throw their life away for something more incredibly useless.
yeah, like
It's
this,
amazing.
this little speech there, I love that.
Yeah. But I do love also the parallel that you get with Frenchie. That like when he's introduced, you get that gun porn that's in like everything actiony.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like there's no reason for it. I'm just like cool. But it serves for like later when he's fucking cooking and like But first of all, no one talks like that when you cook either. You don't fucking just narrate to yourself unless you're like a weirdo.
Right.
I don't know. I do kind of do that, but I don't narrate it.
You're like, oops.
Yeah. I don't narrate. I just like
No one. Oh. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't narrate like, okay, now you gotta do this, you gotta do this. The most I've done was like get ingredients out from like the fridge and pantry and slapping it on the counter going, bitch, at everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny little anecdote, but no other point. Where the fuck were we?
I'm kind of just letting. I'm gonna let you do now because I keep like I talk about something and then I'm like, oh, but this I want to mention.
I did kind of like his arc with like Compound V, but it didn't really go much of anywhere. Like it opened up another thing to talk about, which is drug use in athletics.
Yep.
Yeah, and that he obviously uses it to get the one up for being the fastest person in the world, and there's the pride thing and all that, and he's trying to kick it and all that, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's just a dead end. He breaks his leg, his brother's just like, oh, fuck you, and then he's like, oh, Huey's behind this, fuck you, and then that's really it.
I think that subplot's like fun, but ultimately when you look back on it, like it didn't do much.
It doesn't go anywhere is the thing. It more or less just serves as like to get his girlfriend killed, which
right.
We even talk about her girlfriend, Popclaw, the fucking the she's like the bone dude from Naruto.
Yeah.
But has like a kink for like crushing heads between her thighs.
I guess.
I mean, she just kind of is there to let. You just take her out. What are we really missing here? I guess the development on Compound V, but you could have gotten that just by, surveilling A-Train.
Yeah, it's the development on Compound V and A-Train, which is, again, to just kind of create this personal conflict between Huey and the Soups.
Yeah, and I guess, like, he wouldn't have that, like, thing to blame Huey on, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, like, oh, my girlfriend's died. I killed yours, you killed mine, but mine was a mistake.
Yeah.
I guess. But
yeah. And that's where I was trying to say, like, that he kind of has a point in, like...
Yeah, but it's a lot of, like, time to, like, kind of develop this other, like, girlfriend character just for this one line, she doesn't really go much anywhere else either.
Yeah.
It's funny, the fastest character is the one that fucking gets to the dead end.
Mm-hmm. I forgot.
No.
Yeah. A-Train's dead. Like, Translucent's dead. 2 or 3 of the 7 are just dead now. Is there 3?
Yeah.
No, yeah, the Deep's been, like, exiled.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've said what I need to.
I'm just kind of thinking now, like, quickly, like, skimming over shit.
If you wanted to mention small gripes or positives.
Yeah, let's see. One gripe I guess I have is, like, the first few episodes where, like, when Huey gets worked up and he does that fucking breathing thing.
Huey?
Yeah.
With the...
Just anytime.
Just the way that...
Every time he sees A-Train, he's just...
the way that media portrays, like, this PTSD kind of thing.
Just him, like, not even hyperventilating, just he breathes heavy. And it's just like, can you fucking do something, mate? Like, just anything. Other than just fucking breathing. That's not character development. That's just...
Yeah, again, I think it's just
flanderization for emotion.
I think it's just trying to visually paint PTSD, which I've never been a big fan of that approach to that.
Literally, they could have added in just one mental thing, like Huey just talking with himself, like, okay, calm down, or whatever. Like, don't get too worked up. It's fine, you're here. Just him talking himself down from it would have been way more interesting than just having him fucking space out and just breathe heavy.
It does happen an awful lot.
Yeah, and I'm so glad they stopped doing that because it was just like, again, it was lazy. They didn't like go into him at all. Like if they did, it would have made him much more interesting and better as a protagonist.
Right. I don't know.
And like
I feel like yeah.
you
on,
get
on that end, I feel like
you get to see his anger and frustration in the first episode, which is like, like justified, but like still unearned because we as an audience don't care about Robin.
We don't, but I feel like it's inferred because he's like kind of this vessel for he's every man. You lose your girlfriend, like it's more about how it is affecting him. That's just kind of how I see that. Like
Yeah,
we don't need to be attached to him because the show isn't that concerned with her. Yeah, she is just this
we don't
MacGuffin.
get to be attached to him because we don't really see what he's going through other than just breathing heavy and like some insight of his anger, like when he's talking to that lawyer about like getting what, 15 grand or some shit.
Well, I find him as a character pretty relatable in just being the everyman.
And being like completely like two-dimensional and flat and boring and uninteresting.
He's kind of...
That's what I get
I don't
from
think
him.
he is all that, but I think that there's definitely a certain amount of... what is it? Like, holding back. Like, they kind of keep him a bit of something that people can project themselves onto.
Not really, no. I'm like, sorry, I can't follow that. Because usually that's what the MacGuffin character is for. We got to project whatever we want to on that certain character. But we didn't even really get to do that with Robin.
Because
no,
I don't.
They kind of already.
See, I don't see that.
To develop her, I guess. I don't get to project anything onto Huey because, like, as a viewer, I'm like, yeah, go fucking kill them. Like, they're fucking awful superheroes. But that's what Butcher is there for.
Yeah.
And Huey, there's a difference between like holding back and just straight inaction, which is what he's doing. He's like doing nothing.
I find him really realistic in not wanting to take action, or wanting just all the conflict. Like
there's no conflict from what I see.
There's
there's none like that is actually being personified with him. From what I see, like he just sits there. He would just sit there. He says that he has a problem with like just sitting there and doing the same thing, but that's ultimately what he would do if it weren't for Butcher. I feel like. But and then there's
he would do nothing, I don't think.
And then there is this interesting thing that it can open up, but like it's still like from the get-go, from how like fucked the launch was, like he has obviously that like, that choice that Butcher doesn't have, or does he move on and create a new future with Starlight, or does he stay loyal to Robin? But like when he sees her, and which ultimately like I chalk up to Robin's cameo appearance. I didn't even fucking recognize her. I was like, who's staring at him? And I was like, oh, it's the girlfriend. And I didn't even remember her name either. And this was like by episode 5 or 6. Like I didn't even remember her like whatsoever. I didn't recognize her. And that really just shows on my experience that she really did not matter like much at all.
Right, and
to me in the narrative.
Like I'm not arguing with that, but I'm arguing that she's not the point. Like her character is better with no development, in my opinion. Her character just being this thing that affects Huey, like a MacGuffin.
But we don't really see him be affected by it. You know who we do see be affected by their MacGuffin?
I
Butcher.
do see it in Huey, but what?
We know we see him be affected by it. We don't know anything about Becca. Yeah, and she ultimately could have done what she did with Homelander. Fucking what's the word? Consensually. We don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure out maybe.
We get to like, put anything. We get to project anything we want to on her.
Right.
Whatever she means, because it meant a lot to Butcher. I mean, we do like vaguely see it, but like in the flashback scenes, like there isn't much in terms of personality there. Just more like what she was doing, interactions like with Homelander at the beginning, and like what they had, I guess, together.
I find Huey's reactions to be very human. I know you don't.
But in this show where everything is like super dramatized comparatively, if this were like a very intimate, like small story, then sure, but it would still need more development in terms of his character to progress anything.
Well, that's the dynamic, isn't it? That this average Joe is in this mess. Like, he's relatable to me because I feel like I'd be pretty similar. Like, yeah, of course I would want to get revenge, but these soups, they're untouchable. Like the Seven, they basically rule the world. What are you going to do? Like,
but that's what makes it interesting.
You feel like I can't do anything, which is why, like, he doesn't want to take any action. But of course he also wants to take action. They killed his girlfriend. It's a very personal thing. Like, so you get the push and pull of the action and inaction.
But he doesn't make any conscious choice until it's when he decides to leave Butcher ultimately.
Yeah, Butcher pushes his hand
Annie.
until... Yeah, because Butcher's completely a selfish character and only completely motivated by his personal vendetta and his hatred of Homelander and what he lost. And like, he doesn't care about the people who's helping him. He's using people to get what he needs. And Huey wants this more like, he's about this more like human approach, this human aspect.
I still, it's unclear what I think Huey wants. Like, it's unclear like what is shown from that.
I think it's that way because it's conflicting.
Yeah, but it doesn't really like open up the discussion for it to be conflicting, I think.
I don't know.
I found just just him as a character meant to be like, it just fell flat to me.
I'll say that's fair, but I gleaned a lot from him. I like Huey a lot. But there aren't that many characters that I don't like. I think there are, but I didn't take any examples down, so no reason to talk about it.
I either like them or I'm indifferent
to
them, and Huey is the only one where I'm just like, I don't like them.
Sure.
But
that's gonna take a bit.
He did have some pretty good scenes. Oh fuck!
Yeah,
that voice crack.
That's gonna make a pretty big hit to your review of the show because he's the main character. Also.
Yeah, exactly, and which I felt like he was the main problem for me in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he does like blackmail, like and that stuff is where like
I really like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I love how he just starts saying shit and he gets so fucked up. He's like, "You tongue punched my fart bot," whatever he said.
Yeah, he said something.
You played my ass like jazz.
Oh yeah, you play my ass like jazz, and like with what was it with grace and willingness to improvise.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
I love that metaphor. That I thought was pretty clever. Let's see. In the finale, Huey shooting an assault rifle is the funniest thing in the whole show.
I don't even remember it.
Oh, just like him getting a fucking gun and just like going, just obviously.
Who did he shoot?
Just at the Black Ops specialists where they're holding Kimiko hostage, and then.
Oh, okay. And then I think I remember what you're talking about.
I just
do we just want to talk about the finale then? You mean in a way that was intentional, or you just are laughing at it?
No, it was intentional. Like,
okay, because I was like, I don't remember.
The nerdy character gets a fucking assault rifle and just and like I'm obviously not gonna knock any credit there because obviously it's meant to be funny.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be like they obviously could take him out. He's a fucking civ with an assault rifle. And these are trained Black Ops units.
Right,
but yeah, I said I like the jazz and butt sex analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a note. I dead ass forgot what Huey's girlfriend looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, what happened here?
Do you want to hang on?
Because I remember. So I remember by episode 4 when he finally gets a flashback. So I put the note down. Now he gets PTSD. Now he feels remorseful. It's convenient or some shit. I don't know what that was like.
You were rating these episodes one by one, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
How long did you do that?
Up until the last 2 episodes where I just like kind of like some notes where I was just like, I can't be fucking bothered to go into it. Like it doesn't even need to be mentioned at certain points. So
why don't you read those off since you wrote them down, and then we'll just get into the finale and wrap this up.
Oh, okay. Also, in the second to
we'll
last,
see how it grew because you said you liked it better as it went.
Episode 6, I said the massive lore point that no soups. Or I spelled it like the food soup.
Yeah.
are The massive lore point of no soups are natural is like a gold dipped egg, and I hope they execute.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll see in
It
time.
kind of did with Starlight, but even then, it's just like, and then a little bit with Homelander. You know,
There is a lot with between Huey and Starlight that could a lot of potential for next season, which, you know, ideally everyone knows what happened next season except us because we're talking about season 1.
I mean, when she got fucking shot with the 50 cal, it's just like, oh damn,
yeah,
like he's not getting laid anymore.
Like we'll see. There's clearly like there's going to be that polarized relationship between Huey and Starlight next season. That's going to be a huge point of contention. Did they do it right? I don't know. We haven't seen it. But yeah, I think that is a nice setup. I agree.
I like how it was left open that, like, you know, she didn't forgive him, or like, you know, where they might not be talking, they could be friends, or they could pick things back up.
I don't think it'll happen immediately. I think she, you know, I think she saved him, and that's like about as much as she's gonna do right now. She's probably gonna be like, no, stay the fuck out of my life.
Yeah, I personally
We'll
want
have to win her back.
Yeah, I personally want to see her not want anything to do with him after the fact.
I think that's what it'll be.
And I don't want the redemption. I want him to win her back. I want genuine consequence of this, and I want Huey to learn from it, see actual character growth. That's what I want to see, because otherwise there will be no growth. It'll be like, you know, a fucking Disney movie where like, oh, happy ever after or whatever.
Yeah, I think there can be both. It depends how it's executed. Obviously, he would have to learn somehow, and I think like what's clear about Huey is that he feels shitty about what he's doing, but it's also very necessary in his situation. He's in a really fuckity spot.
Fuckity spot.
So yeah, do you want to just read off your numbers then, so we can just talk about the finale?
Sure. Well, I feel like lots of these some of these are subject to change.
Okay. We know you hated the pilot.
Yeah, I think the pilot is a little harsh looking back, but like still like egregious. I gave it a 2 out of 10. I think it might be like a 3, maybe 4 right now. Probably 3. Episode 2 is a 5. 3 was 6. Then 4 by episode 4. Yeah, because he kept doing that fucking breathing thing. And and then there was a dolphin scene. I was just like, ha, he fucked the dolphin. Funny. Haha, funny. Personally, how I took it. Let's see. And then there was the whole administrator archetype. It was just happening, that stuff in that episode where it got like white dipped a bit. And then the next episode was episode 5, 7 out of 10, and then another 7. And then I'd probably give the last 2 episodes like 7, maybe even 8s. Okay, actually the finale would be more like a 6 or 7.
Okay, so there was quite an arc overall then.
Yeah, there was like lots of give or take, really, and it really depended on like what was being shown in that episode. It was more or less to just kind of like record like how my feelings were, not like really anything to base my final rating of the season as a whole.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But you did want to talk a bit about the finale.
Yeah.
So we can do that and then wrap it up.
And that's it, and that'll be it.
Only 2 hours, not fucking 4.
Yeah, and then it's also really on the nose with like Butcher and all that, with his whole act of revenge, and what with the character that he sees that like kind of started it all, I guess, with Butcher. The whole she tells Huey like the whole fucking mantra, like the whole message of the show just kind of blurted out, which like, you know, vengeance is a one-way like road to a dead end, just more blood and blah 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 blah. Revenge bad.
Yeah.
Just very, very much done to death. Like we get it, you know.
Yeah.
The issue is for me is that Huey was never actively seeking revenge or even wanting it. Like he had that in him that he wanted it, but it was all like, you know, from emotion. But after you pretty quickly is like, nah, I'm not about this path. You're just gonna get dragged around by Butcher. I said I don't know if that makes him more shallow or more complex. But I think the show missed their chance to make him complex in that regard.
Yeah, it just shows that left to his own devices that he does have it in him because of what happens with Translucent, obviously.
Yeah, but he knew that like if he got away, you know, they would all be fucked.
Yeah.
And that he had his opportunity and he took it.
Yeah, and he did it after seeing that spaghetti poster.
it was, yeah, a little funny.
Yeah.
But it was, and I also liked that the music played like after like he blew him up.
Right.
And obviously, Translucent's being a cocky bastard. So then when he was walking away, it was predictable he was just gonna go and dank. I even said that out
Yeah.
loud.
Mhm.
But it was kind of like a fight or flight, I guess,
Sure.
type of response. You know?
So, yeah, on the finale, because I think this leaves us at like a very interesting spot. Like I said, I actually forgot it left off here because the finale is a bit like, huh. After you see it, like it's like,
Yeah, well, we already talked about the rest of it, which is Huey shooting assault rifle, which is funny. The what with the riding an A train, and that how he went with the heart attack. The only thing we haven't talked about is the very end with the moment that it's been leading up to.
yeah. Oh, and on which is between Homelander and Butcher.
Yes, where
Um,
Butcher finds out that Homelander has a mommy thing with the administrator.
yeah, I assumed that you wouldn't like that whole thing.
I was fine with it. It's
okay.
like,
That's
whatever.
good because like I figured you wouldn't think it was classy or something, but like
It doesn't need to be classy.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
it's like that's why I mentioned.
how it matters, like how much does it drive the plot forward and what it adds to the world. If it adds nothing, then it ultimately doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I think it does, like, it doesn't make Homelander strictly more interesting. It is strictly a choice that they went with. And that could be honestly a few other things. And simply, if you actually would look into more depth, but you would have to give some writers credit, is that like he seeks this relationship out because he had no interaction with any other parents.
Right.
He was raised in a lab. But then it's like, oh, what are the other soups like, raised in a lab? And do they have these type of issues, or did they personify into something else?
Right.
It's kind of leads down. Once you go down that path, it kind of leads into a dead end because it doesn't really address anything else.
So far, yeah, we don't know.
But ultimately, it's fine that they wanted to go with that because they did make the infallible superhero fallible.
Right, and they that this is why I brought up Frank Booth and Blue Velvet, because he's just got this layer. It's like kind of it's this perverse and scary layer to him that makes him even more unsettling of a presence to me.
Yeah.
That like he's kind of a freak. But like you were saying very early on, like so confident and so competent.
Yeah. A force of nature type of villain that
right.
Too many things in shows and movies are too afraid of to like do to like make a villain that seems too large for the protagonist to take down, if even at all.
Right, season 2 is absolutely like I know he's like the main logo of season 2. It's going to be a big thing about Homelander.
Like, is there any real like Western story where the hero doesn't take down the villain?
Right.
Like it's just so like, blech,
So
and the MCU like tries to act like it did with Thanos at the end of Infinity War, but it's like, yeah, we know they're gonna fucking do it. Like in the next movie, you have another movie after this,
right? And
like, don't bullshit me.
And all the boys are anti-heroes. The closest to like a more cut and dry hero is out of the boys is Huey, I guess, but like he's really flawed, obviously, and Starlight is really like the closest thing to an actual just straight up hero, because she wants to do the right thing and she hasn't really like gone against that like driving philosophy yet.
Yeah, but it kind of does make her one note. I don't know. Like there's a whole lot to discuss in terms of this. I feel like if we actually like really, wanted to discuss the quality over this, we would need like another week to like prepare some things.
Yeah, no,
and possibly another like hour or 2 hours or something in order to like fully go into the quality of the series and the characters.
We're just gonna cut it short, I think.
Let's go into the ending scene, I guess, where Butcher kidnaps the administrator, and that he reveals that he just wants to hurt him and not like
kill him.
Yeah, and he just and honestly, it's kind of like it brings Butcher up, a little bit, where it's like, I don't want to kill you, I just want to hurt you, and that will be enough for me.
That's what he did to him.
Yeah, exactly. But also it just shows like how ruthless Homelander is, and that he just kills her right there as a power move. That he was willing to like get rid of her because she brought him pain as well. That we actually did see before in previous scenes that, she lied to him and was manipulating him for the benefit of her career.
Right. And then does Homelander have nothing left to lose now? That's scary.
Well, yeah, does he? Who knows?
He does apparently have a family.
He does apparently have a son, yes. Which is, I don't know. I found the finale to be honestly a slap in the face of the viewers. Yeah,
I find it to be a bit of a weird and underwhelming spot to leave a season, but I don't see it as a slap in the face.
Well, to me, the ending really personifies my whole issue with not whole issue. Well, a big issue I have with the season, in that a lot of it is there for shock value and to get ratings up, because throughout the whole season, it's been like pretty much stated that that whatever the fucking her name is, Abby, fucking Annie, Becca, that she's dead. Even the fucking doctor said like she couldn't have survived.
Oh, okay,
and
Becca,
and that she had, and that the baby died as well. And Homelander asked if it was, a boy or not,
right?
Which could have been foreshadowing, but it was like, it's pretty much, the show was like, hey, these people are dead, and it could have been speculated if we didn't have that scene with the head doctor that was physically there to watch the events happen and to recount them in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that scene, here it's just like nope, just kidding, she's alive. And like, I feel like the second season is just going to like, it's gonna start off by trying to pick itself up after that, because that is a plot sinkhole to me.
Butcher's gonna be spiraling.
Oh yeah, I like, it's emotional to like see that, it was very like a hard-hitting scene, but it was so like unearned and unjustified. It was just there to like shock the viewers and get them to be like, how did this happen, and tune in season 2. So like, that's why I'm conflicted with this, because ultimately I do want to see like how it's going to affect Butcher as the character, and I'm also curious to how they're going to fucking dig themselves out of that hole that they dug. Right. But I fundamentally disagree with like
the choice.
Well, yeah, with how they handled that, and I'm honestly insulted. And if I went to watch season 2, that is just supporting that type of behavior, which we shouldn't as viewers. We shouldn't be like, just have them fucking, go against like everything that they said just for shock value to get us to keep watching. That goes beyond greed for me.
You're talking because they showed us the scene of the birth where it tore through her stomach. And
yes, and like, we got canonical, like, they are dead from the doctor.
Right.
It could have, but had it could have been saved a little bit, I think, because of the line that Homelander says, we're like, well, you're basing this on feelings, you don't have any hard evidence.
Yeah.
And that it is inferred from Butcher, and that he could be wrong, but instead we get told as an audience that like, yep, this happened.
Well, yeah, we're told, I think,
unless it was there to like, I guess he said that again to protect her.
No,
like,
I think that the point is that the doctor was lying, because what you hear,
I was just about to get into that.
Yeah, I know you see it happen, but you do hear Homelander ask, was it a boy? It's kind of like seeing if he's going to lie right to his face. And then later when he talks to the woman that he, eye lasers, he's very on this like horse of like, no one's like, I'm just, thanks for not lying finally. And then like, he's just tired of being lied to. Like, I think, I agree, like the execution, a little sloppy.
Very sloppy.
But I get how it's possible. And I think that's what they're trying to illustrate with him being like, everyone's lying to me and asking that question and blah, blah, blah. It's actually like one of the more subtle things they did that could have used some more confirmation, because they kind of confirmed it in the opposite way. Like they kind of confirmed the opposite of what's true.
It meant to be there to subvert expectations.
Yeah.
In terms of story, like it could have been done well, but like just how it was like handled and executed, it was just so like fucking fuck off with that.
Sure.
Just fuck off, mate. Honestly. But like again, like I said, the doctor could have been lying to him again, because like there is some small things that Homelander like, kind of like talks with whatever, I guess. I don't know. I was on my train of thought, but like you pretty much like explained it.
Okay, cool.
Like, what could have happened, but like and like who knows after that, like they could have put back into fucking what's the word
I don't know.
It's when a witness comes out and they need to put witness protection program
Right.
or something, like some protection program thing. But it's like obviously like she was, like, had emotion for, seeing Butcher in that state.
Mm-hmm.
But like you telling me she wouldn't have fucking reached out like at all whatsoever?
Why does Homelander keep Butcher alive? Like he did that. That's really here's the hook to season 2.
Well, I actually don't have a problem with that.
No, but you do wonder why.
It's also again a parallel to Berserk.
Okay.
That I won't really get into. But honestly, like what I don't get is why Butcher pulled the trigger anyway. Like he did it as Homelander obviously did that as a fucking power move, and like the blast probably should have killed him, but like yeah, I mean Homelander's like speed of light or whatever probably.
I think that was obviously like completely emotional move.
But I think
it's like it's not gonna do anything to Homelander.
Yeah, but
maybe he just wanted to fucking like I'm not going to be able. Like he doesn't have anything on Homelander anymore. Maybe he wanted to kill himself.
Yeah, it just seemed he did it smugly. It just seemed like out of character that he did it anyway. Like
he has nothing left. He feels like
yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe he knew that it like Homelander's game was like more than that. Like he wanted to like really torture him for some reason.
Right.
Again, it's still not sure. Like the fucking problem is like. The general idea is like parallel to Berserk, but there's no like underline of it. Like there's nothing that Butcher did to Homelander to want him to hurt him so much. She's just kind of doing it, to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I think we talked about it,
and I also definitely like anticipated Butcher not having any legs when it showed him on the ground and unconscious.
Yeah.
It only showed the top half of him, and he was on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, he doesn't have legs, but nope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we discussed it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, we did.
There's a lot we didn't get into, but like we're not going to talk about it for 4 hours.
And I explained what I did in the beginning where you asked me if I want to check out season 2.
Yeah. I don't blame you for not really wanting it. I haven't checked out season 2. It's kind of just because I'm really hesitant to get into shows as it is.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this enough to check out season 2.
I'm just not going to watch it out of principle. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe check out the graphic novel if you're interested in that. I'm not going to check that out.
But honestly, like, it's probably going to be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I saw that show. Could have done some interesting stuff, but oh well. And I'm never going to like look into it again.
Sure.
Not that like, I'm more open to the graphic novel than I am season 2.
Sure.
To end things there.
So, I don't know. I don't feel like I need final thoughts.
Yeah, with all that in mind.
Yeah, ratings.
Yeah, I guess we'll move on to rating. So, without any further ado, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. Light 6.
Cool.
Overall. Because it really did, like, pull itself up. Even if it didn't, I'd probably give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. It was like, going to be very middle of the road for me.
Right.
Had very much potential to like, be really good and amazing, but I definitely feel like the very corporate thing that was antagonized in the show happened in real life, and why we got the way it turned out, which is the pilot and the ending. They fucking like just, I don't know, it was a slap in the face to the audience to just be like, watch our show, and I'm like, fuck you, no.
This is obviously speculation, right?
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's the only way I can see it happen.
Sure.
Why those were so fucking different than what we got in kind of like the middle area of the show.
Right.
There was like honestly a huge quality spike where we actually got some substance, but even then the writing I felt like was lacking. Things were, everything was so on the nose. It was just so uninteresting because it was on the nose like that. It lacked any like subtlety. Well, no, it didn't lack any subtlety, but it lacked nuance with its characters.
Fair.
So,
well, I'm gonna go ahead. I agree with YMS. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It is my favorite superhero thing I've seen. I get more out of it than anything I've seen from Marvel, even like Deadpool. I feel like this just had, more to say. Like, I got more out of it personally.
Well, I that's 100% because I will agree with you. Marvel has flanderized itself.
Mm-hmm.
It fucking cannibalized itself because of the whole, pop culture kind of view on it, and the MCU gave the public what it wants. And that's why I got a problem sometimes where people are like, "Oh, the fans are fucking stupid." Fans hardly know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give them what they want, you're gonna get shit like the MCU, really.
Yeah. So for me, this was kind of nice and refreshing, personally, and to retread. I don't know if I'll watch season 2. If I had someone to watch it with, probably. You don't want to watch it, so probably not going to watch it immediately. So yeah, that's it. That's The Boys,
Cool.
season 1. We did it, everyone.
We did it. We finally got through it. I honestly thought this was going to be much more gruesome to like power through than it really turned out to be. So that's I'm glad that it wasn't.
No, well, that's how it seems when we're watching something and we know we feel totally different. And it's like, oh, we're going to rip each other's throats out when we discuss this. But like, I think we're both a lot more critically minded and understanding than we think when we actually discuss something.
I don't know, mate. If it kept up with the same quality as the pilot, I was going to go for your throat. I wasn't going to hesitate. I'm sorry.
No, I still like that. No, I mean, yeah, but I would have had, I would have still had my perspectives on it.
I think I went into this analytically with my head on straight, even though like superheroes is the thing that I really like. I never really referenced anything outside of it other than like criticisms of like, I never tried to like be like, oh, this is why superheroes are good or anything. I'm like, I understand the criticisms. I got plenty of my own, but here's why it falls flat to me.
Right.
So, I'm proud with how I presented these arguments. So
great. I think we had a good
feel satisfied
conversation
in that way.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears.
Let's do it to your recommendation.
In the Court of the Crimson King, we're talking about music, and this is, oh man, I'm gonna feel a little bit better because honestly, I enjoy talking about music so much more.
Huh. Okay.
Well, no, just because like it's a lighter subject,
Oh, okay.
More room for positives.
I was gonna say like all the time. Do you always enjoy when we talk
No,
about
all the
music more than movies?
Well, it really does. It depends. It depends on the
podcast,
on the recommendation on
Okay.
what it is. Like I don't know.
Cool. Well, yeah.
Like
You want to?
Meteoro is really good. Some other things from before were like,
You mean like to discuss?
Yes.
Yeah.
In
yeah,
terms
absolutely.
of discussion.
I agree.
So yeah, in the Court of the Crimson King, you actually took notes on these on each of the pieces, which
Yeah, I try to take more notes than usual because it was like technically a jumbo wreck. You had me listen 5 times.
Yes, and I'm actually glad that you did take notes on it.
Yeah, because I'm kind of getting tired of our format where it's like I liked it because it sounds good.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I actually want more substance out of it. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you here, right on mic. Sometimes I'm disappointed whenever I give you a rec and like you don't really go into as much detail about each tracks, why you like it compared to when I listen to some albums you recommend.
Fair. Well, I never know how to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to like talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not Anthony Fantano. I just like what I like.
Yeah.
Like
podcast is all about
quantifying why I like music is not an easy thing to do.
It's not, because music is like the most subjective thing on earth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to give a more like generally agreed upon view on something like a movie.
There are some like objective things in music, but they're very like slim, and that is like all based around like what it is trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And sound quality and mix quality, things like that.
A lot of times
when you look at like things like audio hardware, like microphones, software, fucking headphones.
A lot of times
speakers.
What will kill an album for me is lyrics. If I'm being honest, like that can kill a song for me faster than most other things because everything else is going to be a choice.
Sure, but I want to talk like about everything too.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure with Meteora, like there's in and a few songs where I'm like, I hate this, but like this beat and like this guitar solo, this tone, all the shit that's happening in the background, layering, whatever, like it really benefited to that.
Right.
So, and here's really where the curveball like comes in with this rec and how this album is different like all the other ones. There's only 5 tracks.
Yeah, that really allows me to like hone in on everything.
And you know how like kind of pointless it would be to be like, this track's in fucks with, this track's in love, like other or whatever. There's only 5 of them.
Which I like to do that, but
it's fun.
But when I do that, like it's hard because I'm almost influenced to not write more than like 2 little notes big.
Yeah.
Like words, tone, or something, like, because I want to keep everything in this kind of what it's regimented format that I have.
It's a fun format, but I don't want it to corner us in terms of discussion.
It doesn't,
because we don't do that for movies. We don't do that like, oh, this scene's in.
It's hard to give. Well, yeah, when you recommend me something like Pink Floyd, and then like I wrote 2 notes, like like 2 word notes, like this, comma that, and like the name of the song, then I'm like, oh, I liked it. Yeah, a melody,
and then and then I go into like more depth on things, and you're just like, sure, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. So
I'm looking, well, because I just kind of like, there's just so many things to enjoy about it. I think it's no secret that I like things that are music that's a little bit more involved, and obviously there's give and take for either.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a lot more simpler music that I genuinely love, and things that are like can be more complicated, but just kind of is sloppy. It really does depend.
Mm-hmm.
On like the execution of that. So with that like preamble and like philosophy like kind of out in the way, I feel like this is important because it's a dense album, in terms of songs, which is why I had you listen to it 5 times. There's a lot going on, and even then 5 times might be not enough for this album.
I do feel like I know the songs by now.
Cool. Even I listened to it as they like kind of not really refresher, but just like, so now I know what we're talking about,
Yeah. So this came out in 1968, 9 years before Eraserhead.
Yeah, I figured it was like 68, 70.
Go.
Oh, what?
Nothing. What were you saying?
Okay, you confused me. Yeah, and this is King Crimson's first debut album.
Yes.
And thankfully it's been put on Spotify like since, because it was been hard to find. And yeah, you just listen to like the base album, none of the extended cuts or like early versions or whatever, anything live like that. Some of them are kind of lacking in areas, I feel like, compared to like the final version. We just listened to like the main one.
Sure.
What are your general thoughts?
Thoughts. Okay.
Like compare it to the other things I had you listen to.
So I wrote this after maybe 1 or 2 listens.
This is your first time ever hearing King Crimson.
Yeah. I wrote after, I think, 2 listens, I wrote that even though like this album, it's progressive rock or whatever, apparently they like distance themselves from that term, which I think is funny. I read that on their Wikipedia, because this is very much a progressive rock album.
Oh yeah, this is like
through and through. Even though that like doesn't jive with my personal tastes, this album is undoubtedly ambitious and unique. Quite epic.
Quite epic, yes. It's very grandiose in nature. And to me, to reveal my hand, I feel like this is the bar that is set for progressive rock.
Okay. So, and you love a lot of progressive rock, so this clearly is a big statement.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I only heard one other King Crimson album, so like I'm a very casual fan when it comes to that. But like
they're kind of known for this one.
Yes, they are. Well, yes, they are very known for this. They did go through like a whole lot of member changes and things like that. But they're so extremely talented. So a lot like Genesis, Yeah, in terms of the prog rock kind of scene, this is like one of the more iconic, I guess, albums. Like,
I'd say.
Yeah,
I've seen the cover like everywhere.
Yeah, the cover of it is definitely like everywhere. Same thing with brain salad surgery by ELP. This is when you really get into like the prog and psychedelic rock scene. Like it only makes it more apparent how fucking normie Dark Side of the Moon is comparatively. But yeah, so let's go into what you thought about. What do you think about the album art? To like dip our toes in.
We're gonna talk about the album art.
Yeah, sure. Why not? What do you think about the artwork? We talked about that. Like it, hate it. Think it's funny. It's just the dude, it's just a fucking detailed picture of a guy, shocked, screaming. He's looking at something, just horrified by it.
I know it's iconic. I don't love it.
You don't love it.
It's it's kind of funky looking.
It's really funky looking.
Yeah,
but that's like the point,
he looks a little goofy.
Yes. I mean, I see it and I'm like, oh yes, progressive rock. This is kind of like the art style, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Gentle Giant does shit like this too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like another like face that they have on like the second disc of the CD that looks a lot like Gentle Giant.
Wait. Did it come out in 68 or 69? Because online it said 68, which is what I wrote down. But on Spotify it says 69. You don't know?
Not sure. I thought it was 70, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway.
It could have been like, somewhere like around the end of 68, possibly. Who knows?
Okay, cool.
Not super important. I personally love the album art. It's iconic. It catches your eye.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
I figured that's why you mentioned it.
It's unique. Nothing else does it. Just want to know your thoughts on it. And I do like the colors of it too.
Yeah, I think it's obviously an icon, but I think it's a little funny looking. Yeah.
Honestly, it could be a Ween cover.
Yeah, it could be a Ween cover.
Honestly. So it adds a lot of character to it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a sense of humor.
Yeah,
of an overall pretty serious album.
Yeah, their next album easily could have just been, some girl with a Ween belt on, wearing blue and red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So
we'll
the song track list?
Yes, let's jump into it. The first track, 21st Century Schizoid Man.
Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously,
and top 3 is going to be an interesting point of contention, considering it's
yeah, I guess
3/5 of the album.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that.
You can just do like top 2 if you really want to, or like a favorite, then a runner-up.
This is obviously here's a funny thing with this album. The first time I listened, I almost thought there would be one song per category.
Per category?
Yeah,
what do you mean by
like love, meh.
Oh, you're gonna like love, hate, other.
Yeah, I almost thought there was one song per category, which was gonna be funny. It was gonna be like the most balanced thing for me. But things changed the more I listened, so that's good.
It definitely it's honestly like prog rock, and especially with an album like this, it's kind of an acquired taste if you're not like already used to things like this.
Yeah, so that's the thing with this one.
But that's why I've been kind of going heavier with prog rock stuff, because Grace is pretty involved.
Yeah.
As an album, and they kind of opened things up, I guess.
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah. But now we're here kind of in the deep end.
Yeah, so this one for me,
what did you think of this?
Was initially a dislike.
Really? Why?
Because I felt like it was an assault on my senses.
Oh my! Wow, that is a fucking claim. For why? What things?
Well, let me talk. I do not like this. This still stands. I do not a fan of the vocal effect.
Really?
I don't like that. I don't like whenever anyone does that. Like they completely, they suck out anything except like all the treble, and then it just sounds like radio.
No, I believe they turned up the gain on it to make it like more staticky.
Yeah.
They didn't really suck up anything but the treble. They just kind of put an effect over it.
Yeah, I get the thematic reasoning for this, with the song being 21st Century Schizoid Man and all.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's that. But aside from that, there's just, this is a prog rock song through and through. I saw it's like their most popular song as well. And I'm sure it's like your favorite. Cuz it's definitely the most involved song on here. As far as
One of, I mean, I feel like they're all pretty equally involved, honestly. But there's a lot going on.
I felt like this one was absolutely the wild card of the group. With all this, like everything else, upon reflection, feels a lot more restrained, I guess. Like not in a bad way.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, I had a really big feeling that you were gonna like the slower stuff, the more ballady kind of things.
To a degree.
But yeah, I want to keep hearing what you have to say in your notes on it before I speak on it.
Yeah, because I've got some stuff to say. What did I say? Song is mostly made up of instrumental solos and a lot of horns.
Yes.
Which I feel like nothing gets quite as crazy as this on this album, as like psychedelic and all over the place, whatever you want to call it. I said this is, yeah,
sure. It's like really like erratic.
Yeah, right.
Rhythmically as well.
Right. So yeah, I wrote it's almost like an assault on my senses with all that's happening. Now that changed from the beginning.
Well, yeah. Imagine as a first listen.
Initially, I was
jarring.
like, "Dude, chill."
That's why I mean it's an acquired taste. Some of the shit is just straight jarring.
Mm-hmm. This isn't a dislike anymore.
Good.
What else do I have? Particularly like the bass licks, impressive instrumentation.
Oh, the bass player in King Crimson is fucking amazing. That dude has a thumb.
Right. Impressive instrumentation and coordination all around. So what it moved to is like, I guess a high meh or low like. Essentially, I want to say I wouldn't listen to this. But
interesting.
But like, I've got a lot of respect for the song, but well, it shouldn't interest you. It shouldn't interest you. It shouldn't be that like surprising, knowing how much I am not about extended solos of any kind, like in songs, which is what progressive rock is.
Yeah, but that's why I'm also a little disappointed is the thing, because it's not really like, most of it isn't really solos. Like a lot of it is just it really explores like where it can go musically, and then when the song ends, it's a different feeling of satisfaction that like it kind of went as far as it needed to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel like the song could be even longer. Like, what is it, even 5 minutes or something? It's like, it's 7 minutes. It feels like 5 minutes,
right?
But I feel like it could be even longer, honestly. I really enjoy the shit out of the song.
Yeah, I figured.
Because there's, oh man, I'm bummed that you hate the vocal effect because it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, really, that's not growing on me, I don't think, anytime soon.
I mean, yes, it's jarring, but like it's unique and it helps like kind of blend that other like synth sound that's like, you know, playing along with it. I don't know if you like picked up because it's like kind of in the same region.
No,
because like when it stops and has that color response when the vocals come in, there's this chord that's playing. It's just dun, dun, and then like it goes into the drum beat. By the way, that fucking drum beat is the thing that makes it for me in the song.
Well, hang on about the vocal effect. Maybe it was like unique at the time, but I've definitely heard this in songs and I never appreciate it. Like it's kind of a funny example to throw out, but like in Green Day's Christian's Inferno, he does that same shit. I just never like that effect on a voice.
I mean, sometimes it could be used gimmickly, but like this is kind of a more transformative way. I can't picture what the song would be like if it had clean vocals. I'd be like, the fuck? It wouldn't match very much with like the rest of the tone of the song, because you know you kind of get like, the same tonality with the brass instruments. They're very like, you know,
sure, it's
very harsh and twangy.
It's very chaotic, and I feel like you definitely have the backing of the majority on this. So I just want to come out and tell you how I reacted to it.
Yeah, sure. This is probably gonna be the last prog rock album I'm gonna give you, honestly. But like, well, I mean,
because of that,
no, because of that. Because like so far, like it's just a trend where like I'm trying to like expose you a little bit more, and like you know, I see where you're getting it, but like it's just like if it's not your taste, not your taste, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I love this drum beat so much. I want to talk on that because
which one?
in
There's a few.
well, in just that the effect that's on it, like in the like more or less in the beginning, where it sounds like there's just like double echoey effect on it, and it kind of feels like, I don't know, it might be just this polyrhythm that's happening where it just it drives it, but it's like it's just so interesting. I don't know. That's a really fucking. It's awful to say. Oh, it's interesting,
Right.
but like, just the bass and the kick drum like really accentuate the rest of what's happening in the higher register. It's so so punchy.
I guess I missed. Yeah, I guess I missed out on that. I was definitely more. My attention was more on the squealing guitars and horns.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, the horns. I mean, I do love too because they really like drive it as well.
Uh-huh.
And I do like how it also plays with rhythms and like has this call and response with just itself, like silence, where it's like in the same rhythm of like the snare hits.
Yep. Which is what I noted the impressive instrumentation and coordination for. But
and then the drums just
ultimately, like, I'm like, but what is this doing for me other than proving that they're really good at playing their instrument?
Well, it's kind of just a fun experience, where like it kind of because
and there's
later on,
like a longer pauses in there too.
Well, the drums also go fucking wild too with the horns.
Right. There's a lot, like, there's almost too much going on for me to like melodically get into it, I guess.
Well, if there were any less, then I feel like the song would just lose everything that makes it special and that I enjoy about it.
Well, I did start to enjoy the opening and the outro, like that kind of like that thing that yeah, like I start to appreciate that because I feel like for me it's stuck a little more. There was like kind of a clear, concise melody to it, and some kind of repetition, which I do think some repetition is necessary for me to enjoy a song in general.
That's pretty much like the foundation of music is repetition.
In general. Obviously, something can be too repetitive.
Like I said,
that's not what I'm saying. But
like I said the last time we talked about music, like repetition legitimizes.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know. I felt like 5 lessons would be plenty, but like I still really enjoy the like other what's I have no term for it, but like how it just kind of goes free form with the where like the drums kind of run away with the horns.
Mm-hmm.
And like it kind of has this like really like jam kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And the tempo changes too and everything.
Yeah. And that's like the thing about progressive rock that never works for me is when it like the instruments break away for like 5 minutes from like the initial concept of the song and just kind of do their thing, jam for a little while and then go back to it. Which, is the genre in a nutshell.
Yeah, and to me that breaks up the kind of monotony of like just a regular rock song because it can get a little like, we get it, bridge, verse, chorus, whatever, blah blah blah.
Right.
It makes it interesting to listen to because in that it's unpredictable too. But like obviously once you know it, you know what's coming. But like it's just a lot of enjoyable facets of it.
Right, and
if the prog rock is boring or if it honestly like doesn't sound well depending on like the message, then that's when I perceive it as like failing in that regard.
Yeah, and obviously what I generally get out of music is something that I can connect with, mostly for its melody or what it's saying to me, like lyrically, how it's resonating with me emotionally. Right. So like generally I'm not like, oh, that was really cool that they did that, like that sounded really good. Like music is not as much about the skill and aesthetic for me all the time, as it is for a lot of people. Aesthetic can definitely like aesthetic is like melody is part of that. So like clearly there's some overlap, but what are you? My cat's clawing me. Yeah, Basically, I said what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, the whole like emotional attachment thing, but also honestly, music can just sound good, and like, it's an experience. That's what like prog rock is meant to like, elicit.
Yeah, and I got some of that from the Pink Floyd stuff.
Mhm.
And maybe even from other stuff on this album, I would say is meditative, but not this song for me.
Well, I don't mean experience strictly in the wait. I don't mean experience strictly in the way of meditative.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe eventually, it could happen, but I don't see it with this song for me.
Mhm.
We're not a good match. No, but like, cause clearly, like, I like Streetlight Manifesto.
Yeah.
Which is riddled with those big parts, but obviously there's also some repetition. There's these melodic parts. There's the lyrics that I almost always love.
It's repetitive, but
Blah, blah,
like
blah.
it's easy to follow.
Yeah.
Mostly, with Streetlight.
Yeah.
Like they got some polyrhythms, but none that are like going way too far outside of like following along with the punk drum beat.
Yep.
As opposed to like it's definitely a very dynamic song. That's what I appreciate so much about it.
Right.
And it's also super big and fucking grandiose too, just like the rest of the album.
And one other thing that I did want to mention about it before we go on is obviously Bad Religion.
What about it?
Bad Religion?
Yeah.
Yeah, their song 21st Century Digital Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is why I also knew like a lot of the words to the song already, because at the end of 21st Century Digital Boy, he starts singing the lyrics of this. It's Cat's Foot, Iron Claw, Neurosurgeon Scream for More. Innocence raped with napalm fire, everything I want, I really need. Like, he's just basically singing the lyrics to this song at the end of that.
That's cool.
So,
which is pretty funny because I always like whenever it was 21st Century Digital Boy, I was like, Schizoid Man.
Yeah.
That's funny though. I have I can't be fucking asked what the lyrics are.
Oh, for this song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that will enhance it for me, but I don't strictly need it.
Yeah, I didn't notice what was being said when I first listened. It was in my car, but like the second time I had my headphones in, I was like, oh, he's saying the Bad Religion thing. Well, obviously they took it from this, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, that's pretty neat. So I guess they must dig this.
Yeah. Because again, for me, like what also explaining why I don't listen so much to lyrics is because the voice is an instrument and it like is in tandem with the rest of what's going on.
Yep.
So I don't strictly listen to words because I feel like, in terms of attention, I'd be missing what's going on a lot with everything else, like in the background.
For me, words are always going to be pretty vital. Like, because as a writer, what I'm trying to get across is mostly in the words I'm writing, and I would hate for someone to miss that. Like, so I always try to hear what someone's saying. That being said, I don't know what the fuck this is saying. It's talking about cat foot and iron claw. Like,
and likewise for me,
I didn't look into it.
And likewise for me, it's with what I get out of music, it's all about the experience and how well it sounds and how it comes all together.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like
as a unifying.
There kind of are those two camps.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously there's overlap. It's not everything's black and white.
Oh, yeah.
But I notice there are people like who view it more like you, and there are those who view it more like I do.
Yeah, and like lots of albums where they are meant to be, more emotional and personal. That is a specific type of experience.
Yeah, like
but that's why I think there's so much value to gain from instrumentals and soundtracks, because it is also a very specific type of experience, one that you can project whatever you want to on here, which is a lot of what prog rock can offer, as well as the blend of what message they're trying to get across.
Yeah,
which is normally some hippy dippy shit. I feel like this album is a lot like is a lot about. I mean, you said something about napalm and things like that. It sounds like to me this is probably like a lot about war and insanity as well. Like similar themes with Dark Side of the Moon, I guess, with minus the war and all that.
Right, but while you're on the
which would like explain like why it kind of fucking runs off, like kind of just going crazy.
Right, but like while you're on that, there's like the flip side too, where people who are more musically inclined think like, are gonna shit on a song like, oh, is it The Boy Who Blocked His Own Shot, brand new? Like, say like, this is instrumentally stupid and boring because it's 3 chords the whole time. It's like, yeah, well, listen to the lyrics. That's why it's a song. Like, a lot of times, like, it's a vessel for what's being said, and sometimes it doesn't matter what's being said, and it's just like,
well, that's
here's
why
something crazy.
It's important to take all things into account, like things that do the same thing over and over again. Again, repetition legitimizes. It does depend on what other things are happening to prevent it from being boring.
Or like
in the case of Boy Who Blocked His Own Shot, there's actually some build, and of course the lyrics. Yes, there's some build and lots of tonality that's happening, as like lots of things are happening in the background, like guitar voicing and things like that.
When someone hears like an A minor F C G and goes, "Oh, I hate this song because that chord progression's everywhere," then like that to me just sounds pretentious and like it's kind of it's kind of a non-argument. It's like you're not willing to look further into what's being said here.
It ultimately depends on the song itself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So I think I'm not saying you do it. I'm saying that there are people who are like that far into that camp. And
yes,
like that's like, and then there are people who are so far into my camp that they hear something complex and they're like, this doesn't do anything like for me.
Yeah, or like this is stupid because it's trying to be pretentious or whatever. It all ultimately depends on the context and how well like it handles what it's doing. Because like Ice Cream Change, it is done everywhere, and it does matter if it's inspired or not. Like because that's ultimately what that argument is that it's uninspired. But similarly, same thing could be said about the 12-bar blues.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be very uninspired as well. It ultimately does depend.
Well, it might even be a lack of skill. Like
that too.
Yeah, I'm saying a song with that progression could easily have a lot of heart to it if the person who wrote it was, passionate.
I don't know. I mean, I think Let It Be has a lot of passion, but it's fucking boring.
Sure.
And like easily, like, everyone loves Paul himself loves to point to that song, but I think it's easily one of his weakest works.
Sure, I think you can point that out, but if it means something, then that's probably why it connects with so many people.
Right.
So that's a little tangent, I guess.
Sometimes things are easier to follow for some people who aren't like, creatively inclined. It does depend as well. Same thing could be said about movies and shows too.
Yeah, but just to, because that sounds like a backhanded insult. So just to like clear that up,
like it kind of is depending on how they like, how far they're into, their own ass about it.
Yeah, I don't think
if they're closed-minded or whatever.
I don't think it's like about like being the better music enjoyer because you understand what's going on with it.
No, like it's all about labeling it based on those, assumptions, like saying, for example, just out of the top of my head, saying that David Lynch movies and works are bad because the viewer doesn't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on, therefore it's dumb.
Yeah. Something like either connects or it doesn't.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned. And that's why I don't care about the music theory behind anything. If something is crazy like this...
Well, I haven't talked about music theory so far, have I?
No. But I'm not arguing with you. I figured we were talking on a vast scale about music enjoyment in general.
Yeah, we kind of opened up this discussion.
Yeah. But, I guess I figure we spent enough time on that too. But I was just trying to say, I think any reason you enjoy something is legitimate, and it doesn't matter if it's hard to play or conceive, if it is something that if something about it grabs you.
Right.
Yeah.
And definitely the whole sound and tonality with this song fucking grabbed me, because not normally does progressive rock actually implement the rock part,
right,
in a very interesting way, with horns and polyrhythms and things like that. So obviously I love this song, but it's not my favorite. It's not in any one of my favorites.
Okay, cool.
If it were any of them, might be 3, but yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's a fucking banging opener.
So yeah, verdict.
Fucking Spotify. I hit the next button and it went to Strawberry Fields.
Verdict. Cool, but wouldn't listen on my own. So I guess it's gonna have to be like a high mellow like. That's where it is for me.
Sure.
You didn't categorize it. Okay.
Oh no, I said I love it.
Oh, okay.
Fucks with.
Okay, cool. Second song.
I Talk to the Wind.
Cool. This one I had the least to say about. This one is kind of like the polar opposite of the first song.
Yeah, it's a calm. It calms down from like all the fucking hecticness, fast paced stuff. It's a ballad.
Yeah, so what I wrote was that I initially liked this better, but felt it was a little too static, like almost, yeah, the opposite of the first one.
And I can agree with that criticism here. The song is a little like, stale compared to the first one.
Talk to the wind. I like it, like it's cool.
Like,
I like
and the painting of the guitar and like the tone stuff.
Yeah, my verdict was chill and meditative, subtle and melodic. I like it. So it was a meh, it became a like. But it is a little, it can grow on.
Well, no, yeah, it's
it can grate on me.
It is 6 minutes. It doesn't feel. I don't feel that length on this, but yeah, this is like the weakest song for me on the album.
Yeah,
but it's still a like. You
right.
know, it is. I wouldn't skip it like ever.
What I say, the harmonies on point. I like that a lot. And that instrument, whatever it is, they give it a solo. Flute, piccolo. I don't know. Yeah,
I was just about to say flute, and I'm like, it's funny that you didn't know that. I don't know. Well, it is. It's a flute, and I think there is a clarinet, like in the lower region.
Mm.
So there's a little bit of both. Fucking, I was just gonna say, prog rock loves flutes for some reason. They're like, fucking flutes though.
Yeah.
Council Giant uses flutes like a fucking lot.
Well, I purposely noted that because I knew I figured you'd bring up like, what about the flute solo? And I'd be like,
I'm honestly not big on it.
I'd be like, flute solo, like, because that happened last time we talked about one of your albums. You were like, this solo, and I was like, there was a sax, like,
oh
what?
yeah,
like, yeah, I was like, so I purposely noted that for you.
Thank you.
Because like I was listening and I was like, oh yeah, there's like these 2 minutes where it's just like a flute. That's kind of cool, I guess. But it always it drones. Like I just tune it out to a degree. Like it's meditative, not in a bad way. But like I don't think there's like actively this flute solo happening. So I took note of it for you.
It kind of helps paint the tone of it. There's also like a whole lot of clarinets kind of in the mid lower region to help support the flute, where it ultimately does like the more rhythmic stuff of it, and the melody is kind of the thing that's a lot slower.
Sure.
And then you have like the guitar sounds, and maybe I think like a synth electric piano sound that kind of paints it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
I'm gonna let you drive from here on out on this song because that's actually all I wrote.
Sure. I was just kind of listening through.
Or if there's not much else to say about it, then we don't have to spend a half hour on each of these.
Yeah, there's also this little guitar lick that happens, and like also the drumming is just it's there's so much going on, but it's so subtle. Like it doesn't really call for your attention. It's just like it's like almost like the rhythms are playing with each other to help give it like a really interesting sound to it. But otherwise, it is mostly like just the same.
Yeah, it's like a cool juxtaposition, I guess, to the first song being crazy. I feel like that's kind of where it's placed. Yeah, kind of placed where it is because of that.
That's what I mean. Like that's why I like when they actually like explore what other things could happen, because with this is kind of like it's the same solo.
Yeah.
If it did like other shit, where it kind of does. It has that part I just mentioned. But like it ultimately just goes back to the same form, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's slow, I don't like it as much, but whatever. I still like it.
I'm already good to talk about the third song.
Cool. Talk about Epitaph.
My favorite.
My favorite as well.
Yeah. So this is a love. If like I said, I could probably make like a pretty good playlist out of the songs that I've loved from the albums you've wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
I think this would probably be the only one from this album. Maybe.
I think they knew this was a banger because they like named a live album after this. or like I think maybe like
Yeah,
the
I
greatest
saw.
hits.
There
Yeah.
was a live album.
Fucking, where do we even start with this?
I'll go in my notes if you want.
Well, I mean, just the opening is just so it just kicks you right in the balls, you know? It's got, the timpani roll that goes into like this heavy like strings,
Mhm.
minor chords. And then that fucking that beautiful like guitar that's like kind of like whamming a little. Fucking cat's on the mixer again. Okay, all good? I don't know if she borks it or not sometimes. I'm worried.
All good.
Yeah, just that soft like guitar tone that you never hear, like really.
Right.
That helps like just kind of paint it. It adds so much to it. Kind of like, what Elliot does in like some sounds where he uses like pianos, like kind of help paint everything. That's just a term I use, like making it tasty.
Elliot Smith. Yes.
Yes.
I try to clarify what we mean because some people might just watch this for some reason.
It's almost like it's like it's helps it feel much more sad, like it's weeping.
Mm-hmm. What do I have? I don't know how much you're gonna love what I wrote about it, but it was my favorite.
You better suck as a dick because I love this song.
So like, because you're talking more about the instrumentals, and of course I wasn't.
I'm talking more in detail on things. Okay, so then how about them lyrics? No.
The lyrics I actually didn't look at. It's the melody that got me though.
Well, yes, the melody.
So I wrote really like what's going on melodically with the vocals, and the biggest letdown for me was in the song too. Because I wrote, and the build is great, except I was extremely let down when the crescendo about halfway through leads to a really soft passage for about a minute.
I really love how it fucking like slows down for a minute, then it builds back up.
Yeah, I wanted a big payoff. Like, I was driving when I first heard this.
This is such a nice driving song.
And I was really, really digging it. And when it was building up, I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then like, and I was like, what?
You mean the end where it fades down?
No, 4 minutes in.
Oh.
It builds. It gets so loud, and then it's like a minute of soft. And yeah, you're playing it right now. I'm
playing it.
And I wanted to hear like what it does later in the song, but I wanted to hear.
Yeah, but you still get that payoff.
Yeah, it just stops. Yeah, this one maybe it's because my ear is trained to more modern stuff, but I wanted it to go full swing right there.
For me, this is
so
totally
much
in line with what I love, because like this little silent part helps you reflect on what you just heard, and you're like, man, I fucking love that. And then it comes right back, and you're just like, come to me. I honestly fucking wish that this song was like twice the length it is.
I feel like
explore more and like really like earn that payoff.
I feel like I want to like see what it would sound like if you just played straight into this big section there and then went soft.
Well, then it would only be like 4 minutes.
Well,
the whole song is like right there, I guess.
I can't remember the exact structure of the song, but I feel like you could have the big section there and then the quiet part, and then it could go back to the big section at the end for a nice send off.
You get all these instruments too,
but yeah,
the clarinet and like this bassoon.
Yeah, and I said we kind of get this track later. We kind of get this payoff later in the track after the soft passage.
I think that's the clarinet solo. Yeah, well, doesn't it go? Oh, keep talking.
It doesn't like ruin the song or anything by any means. Like, I still love the song for sure, and I'm happy that we get what I wanted. It's just like at a weird time for me.
Yeah, there's a part where he just fucking just belts out like the high parts, and it's so fucking emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
I don't know the lyrics. What is this about?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. I thought you mentioned the lyrics because you knew.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's like the the chorus where it's like I'll be crying.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
crying on my own or something.
Yeah, epitaph lyrics. I don't know, they're just fucking emotional. Like, I'm just saying.
No, I was just so down with the melody, and his voice is so good. I can't believe he did that to himself.
Confusion will be my epitaph.
Yeah.
But I fear tomorrow I'll be crying.
Yeah, I really like his voice, and I don't like how he ruined it in 21st Century Schizoid Man.
No, yeah, he has an amazing voice, but I don't know. It fucking just. It would like.
It's like Ween.
It would really be jarring to me if he had his clean voice for 21st Century Schizoid Man.
I don't know. That might be because you
I feel like
know the song.
It would
with
be a
it.
vastly different song for me. Like you would have to change entirely how like the horns would sound too, and the drums, and just everything. It wouldn't work as well. I feel like.
Well, I wonder what it sounds like live, or if they do that effect live.
Yeah, maybe honestly you'll like I don't know, maybe the other album I heard. I'm not sure because there's like a like traditional rock kind of song.
Well, sure. Well, what would I have for my?
But yeah, the strings make it so powerful too. Just everything just works so well together here. It's like perfection.
Yeah, I enjoyed the instrumental solos on here too. They felt like, there was a melodic reason for them to be there. I felt it didn't feel like.
Well, the strings are there to like really like round everything out and provide the foundation for like how high the melody gets.
Right, and it like.
And you get also the booming timpanis too.
It gave me
for percussion.
Yeah, it gave me something emotionally that I didn't quite get from the jamming out of the first track. So
well, yeah, I mean the first track isn't really meant to be like an emotional jam session, really.
Yeah, but because of that, it didn't do anything for me.
It's not that for tone, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This one though,
but in terms of experiences, they're both like like for me, it's funny with this album. I guess to spoil it, it's 1, 3, and 5, like the odd number ones where they're like, yeah, these are fucking bangers, Yeah, like the experience that you really come for.
Well, I'd even agree with that. Even though I'm not wild about the first track, like technically I enjoyed track 2 more, but I think I respect the first track a lot more. Like it's a lot cooler what they did with the first track, for sure. My verdict, yeah, basically the same as when I first heard it, but still bummed out that it didn't come out swinging at the peak.
This song is pretty much exactly how like what I want to do in terms of writing.
Thank
this is like everything I hoped for. Well, at least one of
Do
There's like
it
a
up.
few different facets. Like also the Silent Hill 2 music soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to do this.
Minecraft. I mean, I already tried doing something like this, so yeah. But in terms of vocals, they're not there. I'm no vocalist, but yeah. Digression, Epitaph, masterpiece.
Yeah.
So much fun there. And I do like where it gets quiet.
Great.
That's my take. Moonchild.
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 This is the most like divisive one, I feel like.
Yeah.
This is the one that
because it just has like a fucking few minutes of just like percussive and picking and shit and just
a
rattling. A few.
We get 9 minutes.
The song is 12 minutes. Yeah. It starts off with the melody and then it just fucks off.
Yeah. So at first, I thought it was gonna chill and do that for a minute or so, and then come back and do something.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
So yeah, this was how it was almost gonna be one track per category because this could have been an other for me.
This is the avant-garde type of song.
It could have been, but it ended up in mess / like because I couldn't decide. I don't even really love what's going on at the beginning. I like it.
I think it's a lot like
I think it's
Talk
fine.
to the Wind. It could honestly be like really similar songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I like what's going on though, like mostly. But like as a song, yeah, like I'm whenever I get to hear I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm listening to some progressive rock.
Yeah. So
yeah, like shit like that.
I said minutes.
But in terms of the experience, it's pretty neat, I think.
Yeah, this is absolutely a meditative experience. This one, I was lying on my couch with my headphones in, and I didn't mind listening to that for 9 minutes. But it's also like, why?
Yeah, because also then you reflect on like what
I'd listen to that 9 minutes all 5 times.
Yeah, it honestly like shit like that. It really like exemplifies like the high moments of the album,
Mhm.
and then also kind of gives you like almost an intermission for what's coming next.
Right. So my notes on it. The first 2.5 minutes are a nice borderline strophic instrumentally restrained and vocally melodic piece. I wouldn't call it strophic anymore. Or strophic, however you say that. I realize that it does have 2 parts to it, but they're not like terribly distinguished. And again, while I like what's going on, it would be like a far cry from like I'm gonna jam to this. Before we get 9 minutes or so of some quiet meditative instrumentals. That's my notes, and then I have a verdict for whenever you're ready for that.
Also, I'm not quite sure like what the instrument is like in the beginning, like right in the intro. Yeah, it's like some synth, possibly like a string that's like modified. I'm like not too sure, but I really like what's going on there. Because it also does some other things that go a little off key to help like make it tasty.
It's a cool sound.
And yeah, it's all percussive stuff, like it's vibraphones and like rattling, like stick clicking, and like some stuff on like Tom's bass drum and all that.
Right.
Kind of makes it feel like you're in this like weird unknown place, I guess.
So yeah, hardest
I get from it.
This is the hardest one to pinpoint. Exact feelings. But I guess here's what I had to say. Strange choice to put this second to last.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if I was gonna make a song with 9 minutes of noises, I'd have it at the end if you wanted to sit around and listen to that. Like, but
then people just like tune off early.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want that. Like, I don't think this would work anywhere else, honestly.
Well, I mean, spoiler, if I wasn't required to listen to that every time, I'd just skip it after the beginning.
I mean, I figured.
Yeah,
when I recommended this, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna love that part. He's gonna love the avant-garde like clicking part.
No, it's like a thing to experience, but like that's such a mood that you'd need to be in for me. I feel like, do you just listen to this one all the way through too?
Yep.
Every time?
Yep.
Interesting.
I don't think it's like harsh to listen to, like
no, it's not.
Revolution 9.
No.
But like I think it is there for a reason, for the experience, because then it makes the end song like even more fucking stronger.
Yeah, but I wonder how many people skip it after 2.5 minutes.
If they do, they're not a real prog rock fan.
Oh god. Prog rock gatekeeping here on the Shedheads podcast.
I'm calling all y'all non-experiencers out.
Yeah, I said it's strange choice second to last, but it would also be an underwhelming finale because of that very reason.
Yeah. So I think it's entirely fitting that it's like the second to last song and it goes all the way through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
It lets you reflect on the previous song, banger, and then it gets you ready for the next song, banger.
Yeah, I ended up getting a bit bored of that beginning, and the rest is mostly just for floating. That's what I wrote.
I can agree with that sentiment, but like contextually, I think it serves its purpose
for sure.
So really, when it boils down to everything contextually, I Talk to the Wind is still like the weakest for me. Funny enough as that is.
No, I would listen to that one before this personally, but yeah, this is again like a high mellow like / other, like that's why this could have been, because I would have had the dislike, like, love, other. I got confused somewhere. One of them was a meh. So okay, yeah, you got up and left again.
My butthole hurts.
I don't know. We were finishing up with Moonchild basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we pretty much said what we needed to.
To me, I think it's integral to the experience.
Mm-hmm.
As really pretentious as that sounds. But anyways, we're on the last track, the title track.
The Court of the Crimson King. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you want to talk about it or me?
Go for it. What do you think of this track?
I like it.
I like it. I think this is amazing.
Huh.
It's a fucking huge, grandiose send-off to the album.
Right.
I love it.
Obviously, first note, Kenny versus Spenny, duh.
Yeah.
It's an octopus song.
Yeah, this is what you heard, which is funny.
Yeah. Except I re-listened in that episode, and I think they didn't use the actual song. I think they did one of those things where they, like, you know, they went down when the actual song goes up and up when the actual song goes down to avoid, like, copyright strikes.
Oh, I see.
Which is funny.
So it's slightly different.
Yeah. Let's see what I wrote. I like what's going on here. I guess it's a bit repetitive since it mostly just juggles the two sections, the verse and the fill. But I like the sections, and every time the fill comes back on, it's undeniably epic.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that sentiment. To me, this is like everything that the album did, like all rolled in one, because you get that the same kind of drum sound that's in 21st Century Schizoid Man, with like the really sharp snare sound. Like
Right.
those really long rhythmic drum fills and everything. And then you have like middle section that kind of drives a bit.
Right.
So yeah, really cool stuff.
So,
and also similarly like to Epitaph and everything, everything kind of backs out when the vocals come back in, let it do its verse, and then as soon as he says the line, like in the Court of the Crimson King, it builds up, and then it all fucking like kind of just lets all the sound out.
mm-hmm.
You get hit by this wall of sound, and it's just like, it's a nut moment, is what I call it, when you get hit by a wall of sound like that.
Right.
It's a build.
I think...
It's a big boy build.
Yeah, I think it really hits every time that comes on. I'll say, right, the more I listen, the more I appreciate the structure. Still don't know if I'd put it on, like, personally. But it's definitely a great song. And I think this is the way to finish the album.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I think the structure for, like, the whole album is, like, pretty perfect, honestly.
Even though that grandiose section is, like, the same every time, it hits every time.
Yeah.
It works.
Same thing with Epitaph, too.
Yeah.
Like, Epitaph, though does keep, like, building a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for this, you kind of see, like, their structure a little bit peek through, where it's, like, you know, it's an ABA type of thing. There's a middle section where it's just kind of, like, quiet a little bit. It comes back and, you know, hits you hard.
Right. I always worry about that, like, as a songwriter. Like, they pull it off here. I don't know how many people could pull off writing a song that's A B A B A B A B A B for like 9 minutes or something. Like, I don't think I could pull that off.
Well, no, it's literally just like, you know, big sections you think about. It's just doing it once, really.
Yeah.
You know, not over and over again. But for the B section is like the important part, because you have to like actually make something musically, you know, interesting in the sense like it really feels exploratory.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's exploring like where different melodies and what things can do, and introducing different sounds and instruments.
Right.
Which allows for a unique experience.
Yeah. What else did you have to? Yeah. Well, I don't want to cut you short because I don't think you're done, but that's what I had written.
Yeah. This is one of the. Oh, this is 10 minutes. I was gonna say it feels shorter.
It is undeniably more than I've written for any music recommendations.
Oh yeah, which is good and appreciate.
Good.
You know, you hate the first song, which is, you know, I don't. I don't forgive you for that.
No, I did dislike it, and now I appreciate it a lot more. I just still wouldn't put it on.
Your credibility's gone.
You're right. I hate it.
Yeah, hand over your mic. You're done.
So yeah. So final thoughts and rating.
Well, tell me what you think of the experience. Like, how'd it treat you?
It would have had a different rating the first time I heard it than it did the last time I heard it.
Well, yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's why I had you listen to it so much.
Well, I think I knew by listen number 3, funny enough. Like, this was the album that is totally doable in 3 listens, funny enough. But I still did all 5. Because I had pretty much all these notes by the 3rd.
Gotcha.
What did it do for me? I enjoyed it. I was in a bit of a time rush because I did that to myself. Usually I do the recs like somewhat last minute, so I'm ready to So it's really fresh in my mind. So the first week I listened once, and then I listened 4 times the second week.
Uh-huh.
And the last 3 were the last 3 days.
Well, there's the underlying theme with both our recs. Is that early on we were both like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think not enjoying a rec even is something to be upset about. I think that's gonna be a good episode, because what happens is we get on here and we discuss in a manner that's actually, it's analytical. I would like to think.
Yes.
It's not. It's a safe space. It's not like
a safe space.
It's not like there is.
Well, it does depend, honestly. If you come on here and start spouting dumb shit, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Well, yeah, but I think like we're talking about our opinions on media, movies, albums, whatever it is, and we're gonna react to it differently, and then we are going to accept how the other person thinks of that and give our own perspectives, and that's all it is. This podcast,
and get other people thinking, perhaps, or I don't know.
So, if you hated,
I really want to be one of the examples of being analytical on YouTube, where it's not just total pandering bullshit.
Well, I think if
actually offer something up.
Well, I think what we're offering is our opinions.
Perspective.
Yeah, which is all I think anyone on YouTube does. I know you've had a recent change of heart about that, but
I didn't have no change of heart.
Well, I just think everything is subjective with stuff, and people are just giving you their opinions. That's what you go there for. So that's what this is about.
I mean, I think in the state of YouTube, everything is pretty subjective, but there are definitely objective narratives to be made.
Right, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways,
this album, I think we're done.
Yeah. So, what would you rate it? Final thoughts, whatever, what have you?
Yeah, I kind of give final thoughts that I generally enjoyed it.
What do you think compared to the other albums, the other prog rock albums like Genesis, Pink Floyd?
Compared to Dark Side,
your enjoyment of it,
or Dark Side, The Wall,
Dark Side, Electric Ladyland, and
I liked it more than Electric Ladyland.
Selling England by the Pound.
Yeah, kind of closer to Selling England by the Pound.
They're really similar to Genesis.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's less like Pink Floyd-y, a lot less Jimi Hendrix.
They're a little more structured though, King Crimson.
Yeah.
I like them both pretty equally though, I think.
I like it maybe a little less than the Pink Floyd stuff, but more than some of the other stuff.
They're definitely way more involved than Pink Floyd. Even in their larger works, when they're really prog rocky, even still there's so much more happening. Even in I Talk to the Wind than there is in other songs.
Yeah, I liked it a lot though. Overall, I guess it might not sound like
there are facets to enjoy about all of them.
Not enjoying one song particularly doesn't mean something for the whole album. Which is why I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10.
Ah, gotcha. Well, at least it's a 7.
So, yeah.
For me, I really wish I remembered my first time listening to this, because I don't. I couldn't tell you how I even found it, or I was just I want to listen to this now, or what I listened to it on. But for me, this is definitely the gold standard for progressive rock and listening experiences. I think a must-have for anybody that enjoys that type of genre.
Right.
Which is why I recommended it. I do like their other album. I need to check more of them out. I'm really slow when it comes to that sort of thing. Same thing with Genesis as well. I'm on 2 albums each. But yeah, for me, again, I wouldn't change, alter, or have any issue with this album, even though I Talk to the Wind is the weakest part. You take the lows with the highs, and I think the highs more than compensate for it. So this album easily is getting a 10 out of 10 for me.
Cool. We did it.
We did it. We talked about it.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah.
This is one of the greats of your favorite genre. So
Yes,
There we go.
absolutely.
um,
So much to love here.
There we go. Recommendations.
Cool. You sound like you got tired now after talking this long.
No, this one's not nearly as bad as the Lord of the Rings episode.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, you were super dead after that.
No, just doing what we always do here at the end. It's your turn to give me one
It's my turn. Well,
first.
Well, I'm going back to my format from the last few weeks of recommending something that I need to revisit too and talk about it here.
Right.
Of course, it's another movie.
Yeah.
Big one. Big movie.
Okay.
I have no idea how many I'll find it too, but I'm going to do it anyway. You're getting The Iron Giant.
Okay.
It's been like actually forever since I've seen it.
You know how I'll find that? I think that's an easy find.
I know, I feel like I looked it up and it was like fucking stupid, but I'm probably going to find it no problem like everything else.
That would be fun to talk about. I was just thinking about that movie the other day.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. I'm like, I wanted to revisit that.
I haven't seen that one since I was real young.
Same here. I didn't even live in this town last time I saw it.
Wow.
So and like I moved here when I was like 5 or 6. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. The Iron Giant, and maybe why I seemed a little out of it is that I still was not sure what I'm going to wreck you now.
So that's why, because your gears are trying to turn like really quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you something big, some big boy thing as well. And I was trying to decide if I should go with something that I'm also less familiar with, or if I should just give you something, that I know thoroughly. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm deciding I should go with something I know thoroughly.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to give you. It's going to be one of these two. Just give me a second.
Out with it, lad. Oh man, this is the least prepared you've been in this whole like podcast.
This has been like the most.
Beginning was fucked.
Yeah, this has been like the most impossible recommendation to give, because it's been stuck between a couple.
Well, my thing is going to be ending after this recommendation. My little gimmick thing.
Yeah, I want to give you another giant movie, but I want to give you a giant album. And I guess this isn't going to be quite a giant on the levels of the others, but I have to do it.
It's gonna be stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Because of a little comment that you made.
Oh no, I'm worried now.
Let's do it, guys.
I made a lot of little comments.
Yeah, let's do it.
What are you fucking doing? I don't like it when you smile like that.
Do you have a guess?
No, I don't have a guess.
You don't?
No. Is it a Quentin Tarantino movie?
No, it's not. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. We just talked about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, we did. It doesn't have to do with superheroes. You're not gonna give me season 2.
No. This
fucking not.
No, that'd be pretty great though. So you're getting an album.
Cool. What album? Let's see. Is it a Bayside album?
No, it's not Bayside.
Is it more Linkin Park?
No.
Or
Look, I'm not double dipping, okay?
MCR?
No, man.
Panic at the Disco.
Blink 182.
Blink. That's right. I forgot. Okay. Yeah, I remember we were like, oh yeah, it's going to be a Blink album.
Yeah, I didn't think I would ever wreck a Blink album until you made a comment the other day.
What was my comment the other day? What got me into this mess? What did I say that made me deserve this?
You said a little something in a Game Shed episode.
Okay.
About being interested in a certain Blink album.
Is it Take Off Your Pants and Jacket?
It is.
Yay! Cool. I guess
you're getting that album.
Okay, I thought I was gonna be like, oh, Blink is fucking stupid.
No, I wasn't. So I wanted to give you an album that I grew up with, like Chris Stuckman.
Yeah, of course.
It's not quite their, like, this is kind of the album for a lot of people,
and
it was for me. But obviously, when you think Blink, the two that everyone thinks are Enema of the State,
and Self-Titled.
Yeah, and the Self-Titled or the Untitled album. But this is kind of like the one that was Blink for me. And
Well, this one seems like the cult album to me,
Yeah.
where it's like it's the underrated, like the thing that the fans like. And whenever I hear people talking about it or even clips of it, I'm like, I hear overall positive things.
There's some massive stuff on this one, but yeah, like ultimately, like the logo's known. It is still a massive album, and that's why I'm counting it in this series. Because it was between this one and one other one that you probably would have preferred, but I think this will be more fun to talk about.
It'll definitely be interesting to talk about.
You'll get that other one that I think you'll prefer somewhere down the line, not as part of this series of Rex. So that's that. That'll be an interesting next week.
It will. Iron Giant and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Stay tuned. I like how always one of us is like, we
something
recommend,
stupid.
Yeah, we recommend this like deep thing, like really emotional and intellectual, and the other one's like something fucking stupid. Yeah, like Eraserhead. It's such a let's say such an artsy, metaphorical, take on mental health and suicide and things like that. All right, you're getting chocolate and cheese, mate. Why don't you talk about this Ween album with titties on it?
Yes.
It happened with The Pianist and Meteora.
No.
Okay, well, they're both deep. Never mind.
I would say they're both very emotional.
Yeah, but on the surface, when you say Linkin Park, you would think like, oh boy.
Yeah, some might.
On the surface.
Now it's kind of been recontextualized, but if you want to know what that's about, check that episode out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, yeah, let's pull out the scandal.
Without further ado.